The Zed to Zed Podcast.
Good morning, good evening, or good day, and welcome to the Zed to Zed Podcast, the home for Xbox achievement hunters and gamerscore junkies. I'm your host, Brandon Fream, and thank you so much for listening. At Zed to Zed, we love gaming, and in particular, grabbing achievements and gaining gamerscore. We do news, reviews, and interviews. If it's about achievements, we'll unlock it. Coffee and oxycodone. Those are the two things keeping me going today, one day after surgery. But the show must go on, so despite a significant amount of pain, I am excited to bring you a heavyweight in the achievement hunting community. The return of Maka of Maka91Productions. And those of our newer listeners may not recognize the name, but Maka's guides have been a glorious source of gamerscore, and we hope you enjoy the show. You can find show notes for this show, as well as previous shows, on our website, zed2zed.com. This is episode 58. You can also contact us with questions or comments on Twitter. It's at zed2zed, Z-E-D-T-O-Z-E-D, or at our forums, forum.zed2zed.com, or you can email us directly, contact@zed2zed.com. Today's show is brought to you by the achievement Smell This in the game Hearts Co-Hope Puzzles. This achievement is as juvenile as it sounds, and the description is even better. Kill a friend by farting. You'll find this in Act 5 of the game. There will be a room with a green wall and a turbine and a turbine and a robot with a question mark above him. He'll tell you to push both triggers together while controlling punch. He's one of the three robots. He then releases a cloud of noxious green gas as a result. If you do this next to Brain or Spittle, the other two robots, they die, and you score 60 gamer score. This game is also a great option for the upcoming community challenge in February. Special thanks to developer Upper Bite Studio and publisher Nico Entertainment. And if you, our fantastic listeners, have a suggestion for an achievement sponsor, let us know. You can contact us Twitter, of course, at Zed2Zed, Z-E-D-T-O-Z-E-D. You can chat with us over at Discord. That's discord.me/Zed2Zed. Or email, of course, at contact@zed2zed.com. You know, you can even leave it in a podcast or iTunes review post. So, with that being said, before we bring Maka on board, let me introduce my co-host. Today, I am joined by Proulx. How are you doing this evening, sir?
I am doing wonderfully. How are you doing?
I'm hanging in there. I'm hanging in there, buddy. Although my voice is getting a little, I don't know, it's like this 10 p.m. time frame is like when my voice decides to shut down. So I gotta keep practicing, get it nice and loose. We also have Randy here. How are you doing, Randy?
Well,
are you covered in feces yet?
No, I mean, I guess it could be worse, but apparently I'm so rainy that the studio is now has a big water stain up on the ceiling, and yeah, I guess just the condensation from being a cloud.
Is that what it is? The humidity coming from you is just too intense.
There's some kind of leak above me, and there's a big stain in the recording room, and it's growing very quickly. So it kind of smells like,
oh no.
It's much less bad today. Yesterday it was like mildewy. Today it's just kind of like
just gnarly.
I don't know. It's weird. It's not like mildewy. It's not as bad. So being in here with the door closed today is not as bad as it would have been yesterday. So I guess recording on a different day worked out. Yeah, so there's that.
That sounds terrible.
I went to go buy 8 Crystal Pepsis today because I had a coupon. They only had 4. So,
oh no.
I bought 4.
The physical supply is dwindling.
Well, no, it's just the first run. See, because it's in stores again. So in the U.S., it's in stores again, and there was a whole bunch. And it's actually the distribution is much better this time, because even like the little corner store down the street that only has like one little cooler has it now. So they're pushing it a lot harder, and hopefully that means that it's actually going to stick around this time. But there's still people buying it up like crazy when it first comes back. So the supply is low in a lot of places.
Interesting.
But,
you know, I used to work in retail when the Beanie Baby craze was all about.
Oh, yeah.
And so I worked in a store that sold them. And so, like, you would go into the back room and grab a box of Beanie Babies, and you would be descended upon by, like, 40-something-year-old women, and they would just ravage you and the box. I mean, like... It was pandemonium. Like, you thought that the riots in, D.C. were something. This is nothing compared to the Beanie Baby riots. I mean, you if you came out of there with all of your teeth, you were in good shape. It was heated. So I get it. The Crystal Pepsi runs.
It's not quite that.
You haven't had to push anyone over yet?
No, there's still it was kind of messy. Like, there were two slots in the cooler that were clearly both filled. And then there was just like one that had fallen over and like one way in the back that didn't slide forward. And then just like kind of two leftovers in the front. So
nice.
They definitely were both full at some point, like 3 days ago.
Nice.
But yeah, so now they're empty because I got there, and then instead of 4 more Crystal Pepsis, I bought shampoo. So
don't drink the shampoo. That's probably not a good idea.
That's not advisable. But Crystal Pepsis are good. Shampoo is not.
Right. Well,
but I was a little disappointed.
So I don't have a lot of announcements for the month, or for the show. That we pretty much we move all the contests to the end of the show, so there's not really anything to talk about here. So why don't we just get into what we've been playing, and I'll give it a start because. So I want to say thank you to everybody that wished me well in my surgery and everything. It it was successful. I'm hobbled a bit, but that has allowed me to do some gaming this weekend. And it's funny that I had between my gaming friends and my gym friends, I got way more well wishes than even my own family. My parents decided they didn't remember that I was having surgery and decided not to call or wish me well. So I was like, oh, that's interesting. So thank you to all my, friends out there who gave me a shout out. As far as gaming goes, right, because I got sick last week, that my voice was a little hoarse, a little running out of gas there. And anyone who heard me throughout the week in our gaming sessions knew, it was not great. And so I was not able to stay as long as I would have wanted in my normal gaming troupe. So on Monday night with Diablo, I played for an hour, right? Got an achievement, but I only got to play for an hour. Destiny, Iron Banner was around this weekend, so we had a lot of fun. The 4 of us in Iron Banner, but I couldn't stay up late for that either. We did play some Battleborn this week on Wednesday, and unfortunately, the new winter update came out, and we'll talk about it a little bit later, came out on Thursday. And so none of us, at least I haven't tried it out yet. Of course, there's a double XP weekend going on. By the time you hear this, it's already over. So hopefully I would have capitalized that over this weekend. And so, in theory, all the characters should be unlocked. I've downloaded it, 18 gig update or whatever. People say it's pretty good, so we'll have to see what happens with that. And then I dabbled in Microsoft Solitaire, keeping my streak going. I have yet to fail this month, and but I said the same thing about December, and I failed on the 27th. So I'm close. I'm close. 21 days in, I'm close. As far as surgery aside, now today I actually got a significant amount of gaming in, because I just had to sit in front of the couch, in my Barca lounger all day. I chipped away at some more of the Rayman. Now it is now officially preloaded. I have gotten every single thing up to the last level that I need to do for the last 2 trophies, the last medallion, the last 2 teensies. It is locked and loaded and ready to go. So that's exciting. And then I spent the rest of the time.
Everyone's going to know. What good is that as our secret G-Task weapon?
It's only 300. It's 700
I'm
TA and
I'm not even paying attention.
Score.
I mean, I've just been paying attention because I know Chris wants to get the ratio this week. He's been pumping out some mad ratio.
He probably should have told me.
Oh.
Although actually I had a decent ratio going. The other thing I've been doing.
I think we've all been pretty okay.
The other thing I've been doing this week has been Disney Infinity 2.0. It's the Disney Infinity month, this month of January, and so I decided, hey, the kids are around. It's a nice game I can have on. They can show up and goof around while I set up XP grinding and all that fun stuff. And so I got 8 achievements in Disney Infinity 2.0. I only have 5 left, and the 5 left are the 3 of them that are associated with feats. So I have to do the 90 feats, right? 25, 50, and 90 or whatever. And then I have that's get 50 items for my sidekicks. I'm about halfway done with that. You have to play one of the side missions and open up chests. You get like 7 or 8 chests per run.
That was such a lame achievement.
It is, and it's obnoxious.
It's so annoying.
So I got
especially because the mini game is just so slow.
Yeah, which one did you do?
Like that.
The Escape from Kiln?
I got the little starter pack, so I had the
Stitch, Lilo and Stitch one.
There's the Lilo and Stitch and the Braves one.
Yeah,
and I did that one because that one had Lilo and Stitch. The chests were just, I don't know. Could you even get them in Lilo and Stitch?
I don't think so. That's the tower defense one, right?
Yeah.
Same with Thor.
Yeah, so,
Thor is the analog. There's no chest in the Thor one.
The games are the same. They're just a different theme. So either starter pack, they're the same games. But it's just just rough.
Yeah, they're obnoxious. So you get 7 or 8 per run, and it's fun because my son and I will go through it, and so we at least split up, and it's not quite as long, but they're just not really that fun. And like you said, they take really forever to preload because they're all procedurally generated. So that's dumb.
Well, anyway. Some runs you get 2. Yeah. If you get a bad chest or whatever.
Yeah. So I'm chipping away at that, and then the last one is the exploration survival. That survive to wave 45 or whatever that 3-hour, 2.5-hour long monster
that one was
is.
Almost fun.
Yeah, it's not too bad. There's Michael Hughes has been asking to run that, and so hopefully I can meet up with him maybe tomorrow to do it. But
a note for that too, you can actually have 4 people kind of jump in and out at any point in that, so it's not just for 2 people. You can actually have up to 4, because that's when we did it. There were 4 of us for part of it. One person left part way and then came back later.
Oh yeah, and still unlocked it.
And it's still as long as you're there for. It seems to be as long as you're there for the last wave, everyone gets it. So if somebody comes along and is like, "Hey, I want to do this," and you're halfway in, you can just invite them, and it's no problem.
Oh, no, I'm not going to carry anyone like that. Are you kidding me? Well, maybe I will. Maybe keep your eye on it.
They can still help you with the second half. I mean, it speeds things up a lot.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens with that. That's been about it for me. I mean, I'm home all day tomorrow, and I took the day off on Monday to kind of rest up, but my kids are also off, so I don't know how much gaming I'm going to end up getting done, but we'll see. Randy, what have you been up to?
It's been a pretty short week for me, actually. I did a lot of playing, just not a lot of different stuff. So I got in some Quake 4 when I was looking for jobs, just working on matches. Approaching that 500 achievement. I think that's an 8-something ratio, maybe. I don't know. It's very high. It's way higher than it should be. Guitar Hero Live on Xbox One. I finished all of the single player stuff after playing Fall Out Boy 80 times. I finally, after forever, started the single player of the Ghostbusters, the video game. Not the new one, the old one that was good, that was Ghostbusters 3, the game.
It's good.
I'm really enjoying it so far. I haven't seen Ghostbusters 1 or 2.
What?
But
the movies?
No, I know.
Oh, man.
I haven't seen the movies. Actually, maybe I did see Ghostbusters 1 or part of it a long time ago. I don't know.
Wow.
I don't remember what happened anyway.
That's shocking.
You should definitely watch it, because I mean, the game is good on its own, but obviously it is a continuation of that story, and it's much more satisfying, I'm sure, having knowing that story.
And it is really well done. It's really nice to see that, even the as much kind of complaining that the multiplayer gets with, the achievements not working. That's the only aspect of the game that isn't basically flawless. Yeah. Is the multiplayer is so good. It's so much fun. There are a couple things that are that takes some time to kind of learn how to do. And, you know, there are a couple issues, but generally the multiplayer is super fun. The campaign is just seems to be a more polished version of that type of gameplay, and just a lot of thought put into it. So I'm really enjoying it so far. I busted out Seen It, Bright Lights, Big Screen, French Canadian edition this week for Random To-Do List. I had to play a multiplayer game and win, and that's local only, so just played a game with the second controller there, basically.
Is the French Canadian version in French?
It is only in French.
How's your French?
The whole... Not good. Yeah, it's hard. I put it on my tag. I'm like, yeah, I'm just going to put this on my... I was really excited when I found it because for the longest time, I was kind of convinced that was one of the rarest games on the 360. And I still kind of am. I mean, it's not... There are much rarer games, but it just had such a small release because it was only released in one province of Canada, and that's it. You can only get it in Quebec, and even in Quebec, it's not like every copy is the French Canadian version.
Right.
More than not, it seems, looking at like inventories and stores and stuff, it's pretty much always going to be the English version. So the only time I've ever seen this for sale is one guy on eBay must have got some liquidation lot, and he had them for sale for like a year, and that was it. And when they sold out, I have not I mean, there are a few that kind of circulate from that batch,
right,
like just as individuals, but that's the last time that I saw any of them for sale, like from a new source. So it's just kind of just a neat game. I think it only has like 60 people that have it tracked or something. It's very, very low. But yeah, I got really excited when I first got it, and I was like, yeah, I'll just put it on my tag. Ugh. I have to finish it. I'll be able to, I think. I think eventually I will, but it's going to be tough. That's going to be one where I'm going to be like writing down the answers and just kind of memorizing it, because I don't...
You're not going to learn French?
I took French in Canadian school for like 6 years, but it was it's just not enough to actually... do anything.
Is Canadian school where you learn about moose and I didn't know there was like a distinction between Canadian school.
Well, no, but like, okay, but in Canada, French is the second is an official language, so like it's pretty much mandatory. Like once you hit high school, you can switch languages if you want to, but most people just continue with French. But it's like you don't learn enough to do anything with it. It's just like you conjugate verbs, you never speak anything. I learned more from reading like shampoo bottles, because everything in Canada is in English and French. So, you know, you just read, oh, okay, you just read that, and like, oh, then in your mind, you're like, oh, I know that word. It's shampoo. It's ham, whatever, because everything's in both. So like that is where most of my French knowledge is. I just know words. I'm like, oh, they're talking about ham. They're talking about shampoo. They're talking about whatever.
What kind of shampoo are you buying that has ham in it? Just out of curiosity.
I don't know. Those are just the two things that come to mind. But yeah, so that's really where the bulk of my like French kind of comprehension comes from, and it's not good. It is not good. So I think that one's gonna be my tag for a long time, but we'll see. Maybe when I'm down to like 10 or 20 games left to complete, I'll actually put some time in.
There you go.
So then been playing with Proulx, Saints Row 4, and I think we're gonna get a double rant this week, actually.
Uh-oh.
This might be a short one. So Saints Row 4. So I've been dumping on this game since not playing it. Now I finally played it. It's the most incoherent mess of anything ever. Like the story doesn't make any sense. The DLC is even worse. The DLC is even more incoherent, and then it makes fun of itself for being lazy and not making sense. Like they actually are like, we did a horrible job on this. We're going to point it out in the DLC, like in the DLC that you paid money for, that is a disaster. We're going to point out that we're lazy and it's a disaster because you already bought it. And then at the same time, it's simultaneously a tribute and an insult.
Nice.
Which is so weird. It's like there was just like one guy on the staff that's like, guys, old Saints Row's good. And everyone else is like, no. New Saints Row's better. And then like he was just like insisted on having like little pieces of tribute. And they're like, no. When you have that, we're just going to ruin it. We're just going to take that and absolutely ruin it and put it into this incoherent disaster of a story. It's so bad. Like the
DLC is very bad.
The DLC is way worse than the base game. Yeah. Like I gave one of them half a star. I think
DLC
there's like
a half star.
Yeah, I think there's like 5 things on my list of like games in DLC that got half a star. That's lower than Moxie's. At least Moxie's worked. I mean, Moxie's is worse. Like I would replay the Saints Row DLC before I replay Moxie's, but like objectively, to me, if that seems contradictory, but like to me, if I'm comparing like quality, Moxie's is of higher quality than the Saints Save Christmas.
And plus the Saints Save Christmas is like an hour, and you can just not even like you could get that done.
Like there's more content in Moxie's than there is in Saints Save Christmas.
Yeah,
which is bad because there's basically no content in Moxie's. Like it really isn't. It's just like here's an arena and some enemies you already fought. But like at least there was like one new place. I mean, I guess there was like Christmas Land, but they didn't even bother to draw a map. No. It was just, and then the other one, Enter the Dominatrix, which is the first DLC. The cutscenes are just storyboards.
Oh, it's bad. That's right.
They didn't bother to put in cutscenes. They just used the storyboards. And then they play it off like, oh, it's a movie.
Oh, jeez.
And they even point out, so like, because in Saints Row, you customize your character and then that character appears in the cutscenes. Not in this one. They just say, they have an arrow pointing to the generic character that says customizable character.
It's bad.
In the storyboard. It's unreal how lazy that one got 1 star because there was no like horrible game breaking bugs like Saints Save Christmas. Saints Save Christmas would have got 1 star if it wasn't horribly buggy and froze and crashed the game all the time. Yeah, it's bad. Nice. It's probably worse than I imagined it being.
Well, so you said there were 2 rants. You mean there's another game that deserves your ire?
That's coming. Just wait.
Oh, we're not done with Saints, huh?
No. Maybe. I'm trying to think. I'm just quickly going through my mind if there's any other things.
What are you going to give the base game?
I'm thinking 2.
I'd probably give it 2.5. 2.5, 3.
I'm on the fence. Between 2 and 2.5. I mean, like, if it didn't have the name Saints Row, definitely 2.5. But like, there's just so little content, and the whole game is just artificial gameplay extension. Like,
yes,
the game should be about 5 hours long, but it just drags it out to be like 20. And it does that, and it makes fun of that. Like, there are actual missions in the game that they just say, we're making you run across the map to extend the game. And it points that out in the game that they're, because like we know, like, and we had been pointing this out like way before this, that they're just doing stuff now that's just artificially extending the length. And then they come in and they're like, yeah, you're only doing this so we can make the game seem longer. And it's like, like, they're just the worst. Like, Volition is the worst.
So you're not giving Agents of Mayhem
no.
a good look?
Thankfully, they changed the name so I don't have to play it.
There you go.
That is my positive outlook on Agents of Mayhem, is that it's no longer called Saints. I'm sure it will be in the same universe. I'm almost positive.
So if if it was Saints Row : Agents of Mayhem, would you feel obligated to play it?
Yes. I'd feel obligated to play it just to keep my series completion. Just like I feel obligated to play all 4 versions of Saints Row 4, which is going to be torture. I thought it's longer than I thought it was too, because of all of the like 1,500 collectibles, and it's basically a worse version of Crackdown. And I hate Crackdown, but it is a worse version of Crackdown.
That's remarkable.
It is. It's impressive. like you got to try to do a job that bad. So yeah, there we'll end the Saints Row rant there. There is another one coming. I say almost positive. We talked about this before the show about like putting this in our plan. So no, there's a rant there. The Saints Row one I just forgot about. So yeah, Saints Row 4, horrible game. Don't play it. Don't give them your money. Volition's terrible and dead to me. And then on to Dance Central 3. I've been playing that partially for random to-do lists, partially because I want to play more Connect. So a few days this week, it's kind of what I did in the morning before I took a shower. I played Dance Central, got some achievements.
Because you're going to get all sweaty playing.
Yeah, pretty much. Every time I play Connect, always. And that it put me up to 8 achievements on my to-do list now.
Oh,
that's not so bad.
That's a big, almost 1,500 points this month, and I'm thinking there's going to be more. So,
wow,
that's pretty good. Killer Instinct, it's noob season. That's if you want to do rank stuff, now is the time to do it because like 90% of people online have played like one match because they got season 2 for free. So if you plan on doing rank in Killer Instinct, now is a really, really good time. So I've been, when I'm not playing the next game that I mentioned, I've been playing Killer Instinct because I want to try and get some of the characters that I have a hard time playing are the ones that I'm focusing on because I don't really like, I'm good enough. I reset. So I'm staying in bronze tier. So I'm intentionally throwing my promotion matches so I never get promoted. So I keep fighting like mostly qualifier and bronze tier players, which are generally brand new because it's super easy to get promoted out of bronze. So I just keep losing my promotion match, and I lose a whole bunch of points, and I can win a few more matches and then lose my promotion match again. And I've been doing that for like a week or so. Yeah, pretty much since last podcast. And yeah, I got a couple rank things out of the way, which is good with characters I'm not very good with. And then took a quick trip to Australia to play Lego Rock Band. And then the bulk of my week is Guitar Hero Live. So I don't know if we have a thing in news, but I'm going to do a quick news here. Ubisoft bought Freestyle Games, which is the studio that does Guitar Hero Live. Now, Activision retains the rights to Guitar Hero, which means they still own it, but there's nobody maintaining it anymore. Or maybe there's like one guy that Activision hired, which pretty much says to me that if something breaks on Guitar Hero Live, it's not getting fixed. Because they're not making any money on it. Best Buy has it on sale for $20 this week. I think it's the end of Guitar Hero Live real quick. So I've been strumming a lot. I started this week I started on Wednesday, and today is Saturday, at 300,000 strums. I'm now over 500,000 on the 360 version. So, and that's by hand. I did not get a saw. Saws cost money. So I did almost 100,000 today, actually.
Just sounds terrible.
I've been watching Seinfeld and strumming.
That is ridiculous.
But that's been the bulk of my play. And conveniently, the Strumillionaire achievement is on my random to-do list. So my goal is to get at least that one done by the end of the month. And then I have another 800,000 to do on the Xbox One version.
Oh, God. No, thanks.
So I have 1.3 million strums to go. And with that ends my playing this week.
Nice. What about you, Proulx? What have you been up to?
Well, as Randy just mentioned, playing through Saints Row 4. Actually, I should be getting the final achievement anytime soon. I'm idling it right now. So I'm probably like an hour away, I think. It's just sitting on my Xbox right now. And that's the last one until the next time we have to play through Saints Row 4 again.
Saints Row Fun. Fine. That's what we call it. Because it's so fun. They do so much that's so fun.
And apparently it's the week for me of the fourth game in the series. Me and a group of my friends that have finally kind of coalesced into this team. We got through the first 50 waves. Well, not the first 50, the 50 waves of Horde in Gears of War 4 today. Starting to get into that mode, and because it was double XP weekend this weekend. So got to shoot up quite a bit there. That was fun. We had our weekly Titanfall session, as we're one to do. We had a very special guest this week. Freem, you weren't able to attend.
I was not.
So I feel like I need to kind of share with you. We had this special guest. I think it was Saucy's friend. I cannot remember his gamer tag now.
Axelin?
Oh, yes. Yeah. I think
yeah, we played Destiny with him on Tuesday.
Yes. A very interesting character, to say the least.
He's not an achievement hunter.
No, and but he is still in the 1%, just so you know. Anyways, I'm not going to get into it. It's a story for another time, but it was, of course, playing Titanfall. We had a good time. Working on some more random to-do stuff. So I played this mission in Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. And I got to tell you, I was really irritated because I was trying to find out. It was the specific achievement for this one mission for Leonardo, whatever. You got to talk to Leonardo, and there are 4 different Leonardo missions on the map. And every single guide that I found for this one achievement said, oh, it's a Leonardo mission. Go to the Leonardo mission and do it. But it didn't say which Leonardo mission it was. Every YouTube video, every guide, every text thing that I found just started with the mission starting. Doesn't tell you how to get to the mission, which was actually really annoying. But anyways, so I got that done. Started working on, I have 2 Street Fighter 4 achievements that I need for random to-do list. And I'm just so terrible at fighting games. I'm just terrible at them. I almost ripped my controller in half today. And then I found a guide that said, hey, use Zangief. And you press LB, which is an auto win button for that game. I have now found an easy way to get all of these achievements. It's just going to take some time. So I've been working on that in Street Fighter 4. Some of the stuff I've just kind of always play. Rocket League I've been playing with a little bit, Skyrim. And then, of course, I played a little bit of Rock Band 4, which is...
And here it comes.
I think our favorite game, right? Right, Randy?
Yeah, so there was a big announcement from Harmonix this week. And they announced that the online multiplayer meets the bare minimum definition of what they're saying and nothing more.
What do you mean?
So
keep in mind, we have been waiting for this for a year, over a year. Yeah,
so this is the online multiplayer that everyone's thinking, oh yeah, that's not ever going to get cut from a Rock Band game. Well, it was. And then they're like, oh, we don't know how to make it. It's like, you've made it in every other game. It's the same game. Like, why did you have to relearn how to make multiplayer? It's the same thing. You've been doing it for like 10 years.
Yeah.
And okay, so there's that lame who's like, oh, whatever. And then it's like, okay, well, now they're like, oh, it's coming an update, but it's only for Rivals owners. So you got to pay us another $30 to get your stupid multiplayer.
Super shady.
And then they're like, oh, we're going to delay it a month because it doesn't work.
Yeah, it's probably going to be a broken mess when it comes out. I'm
thinking because it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And then now they're like, oh, here's the details. Yeah, it's friends only. There's no matchmaking. And you can only have 1 person per console per lobby.
Let's just break that down.
So basically, if they... so it's what it was, synchronous online multiplayer or whatever. So real-time multiplayer. If you removed anything from what they're giving, like what they're presenting, it would no longer fit that definition, which is amazing. Like it is actually the bare minimum of what they could do to fit that definition.
Yeah.
It's unreal. They're so Harmonix is so, like, I don't know if they're just so disconnected, if they're just run by like corporate greed incarnate or something. It's like they're not I don't think they're... This one was so bad that even the Rock Band subreddit was like up in arms, and I don't think that that's ever happened. Like they're pretty much like, everything is good, brutal mode is good. Like we're happy to pay $30 for like the other quarter of the game.
Shut up and take my
quarter
money.
Of the game is still missing. Yeah, it's like you shouldn't be happy to pay $90 for half of what you paid $60 for like 4 years ago.
You literally cannot have somebody playing the game with you on a party game.
Yep.
It's so upsetting.
So if I want to have 2 people here and 2 people at Proulx's house, nope.
You're out of luck.
Can't do that. Need 4 consoles. Need 4 consoles. Need 4 sets of DLC. Need 4 sets of rivals. Not to mention that the online community is going to be destroyed by half of people not having rivals.
So are we? Yeah. Is this like LAN party back in the day?
It's basically like just barely. It's like a LAN party over Xbox Live. Like you have to. You can only invite people. There's no matchmaking. So the only people that can play with you are friends you already have. Which is
the craziest thing I've ever heard of. I mean,
and like, I guess that doesn't sound that out there for somebody who wasn't into like the online Rock Band scene back in the day. But like the thing that I loved about Rock Band's multiplayer was I can just search and have a full band in like 5 minutes.
Yep.
Sure.
Even if they're not good, I don't care. Like even if they don't have DLC, even if they're not good, I don't care. It's just fun to play with 3 other people. And that there's none of that. Wow. You have to go online and like do your own match. It's not even like you can have a lobby that people can search. Like you have to invite people. That's the only way to get another person into your game. And like that coming after all of the like ridiculous, I almost don't want to use deception, but it has been like, it's not technically,
for sure.
Not technically lying, but pretty much.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's dishonest for sure.
I think this is going to kind of be the deciding point of does Rock Band continue, because a lot of people are really upset, like, and rightfully so, because it's ridiculous. Like basically you were lied to into buying this thing, this $30 thing that was like, well, it's got rivals, but multiplayer's coming. So people are like, okay. Because rivals is worth like $2. Like rivals is, there's almost no content in rivals. It's leaderboards.
They had those videos.
Oh, stupid. The Rocky drama, man. That is the stupidest thing. Like I started skipping it like halfway through, and I like never skip story stuff. Nice. But it was so bad. And there's no replay value because it's the same.
Yeah, you can't replay it for sure.
Like, it doesn't even have a 1 play value. Like,
brilliant.
Like, oh, people love it. Like, no, it's stupid. People love it because they play the first one and then never play it again, then go back to quick play.
There you go. What about anything else, Proulx? Or are you?
Nope, that's it. That's everything I've been playing. Yep.
But,
awesome.
Anyway, before we move on, something positive. I just wanted to give a shout out and a thank you to Big L and everybody else who, because I know Big L organized it, and everybody else who contributed to the very cool controller that came in the mail while I was away. I wanted to do a shout out last week, but ended up
forgetting.
Things got shifted around, and well, no, but things got shifted around, and Reviews Ed didn't get in there, so it's gonna be on this week, a little late, but it's very cool.
You bet, buddy.
I look forward to using it. I haven't decided. I'm still on the fence. I haven't used it yet because I don't know if I want to get a cover or if I'm just going to use it. I don't know.
Put it in a Ziploc bag.
If I get a cover, I don't want to use it now. I know your Ziploc bag. That's not going to work.
Oh, it will work.
I mean, barely.
Yeah,
I could
work.
probably like start a game or something.
Nice.
All right.
Perfect.
So,
well, let's get Maka on the phone. All right, so it was about 1 year ago that we've had the wonderful Patrick Maka on, and he graces us with his presence 1 year later. We have grown, he has grown. It's been fantastic. Welcome back to the show, Patrick. How are you doing today?
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm doing pretty well.
That's awesome. Anyone who tracked your Twitter recently knows that you just got back from a vacation.
Yeah.
How was that?
Oh, first one in a long time, but I'd like to think it was well deserved. So, yeah.
I saw some interesting pictures on your feed from what Lady Gaga impersonators. Is that that sounds like Mexico to me?
Yep. That Lady Gaga, Michael Jackson impersonators. Circus acts, the usual. It was nice to just kick back, relax while there was nothing really happening in the gaming world. And just got back, already getting into the thick of things. Tons of games coming out in the next 2 months. We usually don't have them this early in the year, but this year is an exception. We got some of the biggest games coming out before March is even over, which is crazy to me.
It's just rapid fire. I mean, like, they're just not holding anything back. And was it because the fall was so packed with stuff that all these things bleed into the fall or into the spring? Or, I mean, were these all really deliberately held just because studios are, really just punching out game after game after game?
Yeah, you know what? It's crazy because I didn't think last year, 2016, was that, powerful or great of a year. And when I look at some of the games in the next 2 months, Horizon Zero Dawn, Halo Wars, For Honor, Ghost Recon, those are games that I'm more excited for than probably any of the games I played last year.
Sure.
Which is crazy to think about that, we have this shift, at least for my tastes, to games that I'm looking forward to coming out early in the year. And a lot of games that are announced that don't really have a date, I mean, other than, Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah.
Other than that, like, there's not a lot of games that I'm really waiting for this Q4 right before Christmas, which is usually, we spend all year waiting for 2 months.
Yeah.
But not this year.
Well, and, it's so weird, too, because it's like, it just occurred to me that Halo Wars 2 is not a fall release. To me, it sounded like, excuse me. It sounded like that was going to be one of their tentpole fall releases, or at least a mainstay of the Xbox, and it's coming out in like a month or two. Like it's right around the corner.
Right.
You're also forgetting the most important of the releases. Mass Effect also comes out in March, so that's exciting as well.
I don't get excited for games. I don't know when they
Are all these companies like based on the fiscal year and not a calendar year? I mean, is this like just Q4 for many of them? EA is calendar year, right?
I think usually when they say Q1, Q2, they mean like
calendar
January
year
to March is Q1.
Well, Ubisoft's a fiscal year because Q4 for them ends in April. Just like, I mean, my wife's company is the same way. They get everything done before the tax, right before they have to close out taxes for April or whatever. So
but I mean, I know the companies usually operate like that, but
I thought
I was
Ubisoft
thinking
did that.
when they talk about releases, I thought they were actually talking about like calendar. I don't know. Maybe I've been misinterpreting.
Earnings calls. It's on earnings calls that they would talk about Q4.
Oh, okay. So I'm thinking like if you look at like IGN, like
those are all calendar years.
Yeah, because okay, we're talking.
General
about
public can't figure out fiscal years. That's asking too much. They can barely figure out when Australia has a fall release. They don't being all upside down and everything. So one of the things, Maka, that I wanted to touch on is, and we loved. You still do, your lists, your easy games lists that you post in Reddit. These things have been just fantastic. And I saw your tweet that you have started the 2017 list. Is it how many games are on the list so far?
I think there's 5, but none of them are as easy as some of the games we had in the first week last year. Yeah, we had Gone Home and Q-Bot to start the year. So we don't have anything quite that easy. We do have a couple games on the list. So for those who might not be familiar, I run this like little list on my personal subreddit where we keep track of all the easy games that come out during the year. If it's under 10 hours and it doesn't require you to be a god at the game, it makes the list. At the end of the year, we compile the list into a top 20. And that's an ongoing little project for the whole year.
I love it. It's great. And if any intrepid listener out there wants to compile into a master list, I know, how many years have you done this, Maka?
This is 2007. Okay, so in 2015, I did a top 20.
Okay.
In 2016, I did every game under 10 hours in the list sorted by date. And there's all that info there if you want to like export it to a chart and sort it for yourself. And then I did a top 20 for 2016, and now I'm doing the by release date for 2017. That I'm probably confusing you without the visuals on screen. You probably already lost. There's a top 20 for every year, and then every year since last year we also do it by release date.
Yeah. We'll put a link in the show notes. You can take a look at that. But I'm totally burying the lead here, Maka. For all the new listeners that we have, because we've grown quite a bit since you've been last on. Why don't you give a quick rundown on just what you do? What is Maka91Productions? What have you provided to the amazing gaming community?
Yeah, so my name's Maka. That's what I go by online. I run a YouTube channel called Maka91Productions. On the cusp of 100,000, going strong for that lifetime achievement that I've had in mind for a while now.
Congratulations.
And thank you. And essentially, I make achievement guides, trophy guides, walkthroughs, collectible guides, that kind of stuff. If it helps you figure out something in a game, it's, that's kind of what I focus on. It's not always related to an achievement. Sometimes it's related to, I don't know, finishing a boss that might be, specifically hard for a lot of people, or it usually has something to do with achievements and trophies. And I just make game guides. I have been making them seriously for the last 3 or 4 years now, almost up to 2,000 videos. And that's like the elevator pitch.
Yeah.
I also stream every now and again, tweet a bunch of stuff. And I do a podcast over at TXR Podcast every Monday night. And that's kind of, I guess, the basics, yeah.
It's the life of Maka these days. Yeah, so, I mean, your guides have been super helpful. People link them all the time over at trueachievements.com. I mean, it's the easy resource to try and, link through True Achievements to get to your YouTube channel. But yeah, if you want to go straight to the source, folks, it is his YouTube channel. That is primarily where everything sits, and it's, man, a wealth of knowledge. And you have you got some great games on that list.
Yeah, I mean, I try to cover every major release. That's definitely my goal, because I want to help. Definitely, there is a niche in the achievement community, but at the same time, I want to help as many people as possible. So I try to kind of summarize the easy games, so that we can kind of just provide, a little bit of knowledge for everyone to sort through on their own time and on their own, dime, depending on how much they want to spend to get achievements and stuff. But at the end of the day, I do like to cover the AAA games, to try to help, as many people as possible, because those are the games that are going to have the most player, the biggest player base at the end of the day. But we definitely spread the love around, covering some smaller games already this year.
For sure. You had mentioned, TXR, and I know on there, that whole community that listens to that, they play a lot of those new games, and often you're there providing your review impressions. Apart from making these guides on your personal channel, you play these new games because you want to talk about them with the community, and so that's another reason to stay on the cusp of all these new things, right?
Yeah, for sure. I definitely, I used to be this guy who, growing up, I would just play kind of whatever. Then I kind of started maturing, and then I played a lot of Halo, and then I started playing a lot of new games, but I wasn't really, into that, into the community necessarily, where I would, review them or like to, start conversations with people about what we thought about games. But lately, taking up as much time as it does in my life, and being as passionate as I am about it, because I actually do enjoy making these guides. Yeah. The natural evolution there is to talk about these ongoing issues, talk about the new games, talk about what the future of gaming holds, and a natural extension of that for me was to be on that podcast.
Right. That's a great podcast, by the way. So it's on Monday nights. You do your YouTube stream, and now, I guess it's not that recent, but you've been you're now on iTunes, on traditional podcast listening applications, and boy, you guys get deep into the weeds on a lot of topics, and it's it is great.
And we don't always agree on them.
No, absolutely not. Of course, hosted by Randall Thor 19, another name that you've heard on our podcast. There's a whole host of people that come in and out of that. But I'm not gonna lie to you, Mac. I think you provide some of my favorite content because it's so relatable, and I think the way that you approach it's very conversational. The way you approach, and you've got a smart backing to your comments, and it's not necessarily totally based on emotion. I think having a very subjective look at a game it carries you a long way in that community, and so great job on that. How has that podcast been for you? And now you've been a regular now for almost a year now, right?
Yeah, I think I started. We're on episode 68. I started on episode 8. So I guess 60 weeks is over a year.
Yeah, there you go.
I've only missed, 2 or 3 shows at this point. So yeah, I've been a regular for a year, and thank you for all the nice words you said. That's kind of my goal, is to make it. I don't like to get as passionate as I am about video games. I don't like to get my emotions caught up in it, right? Like, look, Halo 5 campaign is not good. As much love as I have for Halo right. 5 campaign it's not good for me, right? And that's not something that I'm gonna let my emotions take control of my opinion and tell everyone that Halo is great, Halo 5 is great, because I want Halo 6 to be possible for the team. But yeah, it's definitely, I like talking to people like I would be talking to a friend in a party chat. I don't like to, although maybe for some people I don't come across genuine. It's kind of I when I do these podcasts for whether I'm a guest or on TXR, I'm just trying to be myself, right, at the end of the day.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, do you I think one of the things that I do also appreciate is you can be negative without being, hurtful's the wrong word, but it's,
without being a rain cloud.
Right. Like it's constructive negative, right? That you are
I'm
trying
critical.
to bring value. There you go. Critical.
Come on,
you have a critical
my negativity
eye.
is not constructive. Come on.
It rarely is constructive.
You should certainly never be, criticized for being too hard on Halo 5. That's just my opinion. But
hey, Halo 5 has great multiplayer for what it is.
Yeah, I guess.
We'll agree to disagree.
Yeah.
So that being said, what have you been working on recently? I've seen some recent videos. Looks like Resident Evil 7's on the docket.
Yeah, Resident Evil 7's, that's definitely in the pipeline, and then I have a busy February with For Honor and Halo Wars and Horizon Zero Dawn and a whole bunch of stuff. I think Sniper Elite 4 comes out in February, if I'm not wrong, and South Park might come out in some of these months if it doesn't get delayed for the 18th time. And
so
there's a whole bunch of stuff. But
I recall last time we talked, you were very meticulous about the types of games. You kind of did your homework, and it took a ton of time for you to set up these playthroughs. You just listed a bunch of games that take a ton of time in and of themselves. So how are you choosing between this crop of games on what you're going to put videos together for?
Yeah, you know what? It's its own process, and everyone always asks me before, ahead of time, 2 weeks out of the gate, hey, are you covering so-and-so? And it's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Am I covering For Honor? If there's something for me to cover, then sure. If it's one of those games where the achievements are, for beating, playing a certain amount of games and unlocking certain characters that just takes a lot of time, then there's really nothing for me to cover from a game guide perspective, other than maybe, basic tutorials about, how to play or the controls or, some cool stuff that might happen in the campaign. So I kind of, I definitely keep an eye on, my followers on Twitter who are asking about certain games, and I like to gauge the interest of the community in general based on, how much buzz there is around a game. And I would be lying if I said how popular a game is doesn't affect my choices, because it absolutely does.
Right.
Because I want to be able to service as many people through a guide as possible. So it's a little bit of a popularity contest. It's a little bit of what do I prefer playing, because, for example, I'm not very good at Assassin's Creed games. So if there's 2 games coming out in the same day, One of them's Assassin's Creed. I probably won't cover it. It's a little bit of a fine art. That's probably overselling it by a big chunk there. But I just kind of take it on a game by game basis. I try to schedule it out, see how much I can make, and try to make the most I can with the time I have and how the game's released and when I get them.
Nice. So, all right. I think I don't know, Randy or Proulx, did you have any other topics you wanted to touch base with Maka on, or should we delve into a little bit of this news here? You guys feel pretty good?
I don't think so. Not specifically.
Yeah.
Now, I'm curious. So Maka, before you got on, Randy regaled us with his take on Ubisoft's acquisition of Freestyle from Activision. Now,
being a rain cloud at all.
Randy had some choice words.
Negative
about this.
outlook. Well, no, that was Rock Band. I mean, this one, I'm just kind of being a rain cloud on and saying I think Guitar Hero Live is going to end quickly.
Yep. And Rock Band 4 is an injustice to gamers.
Oh, we were just talking about
we just
this.
talked about that. What's your opinion on the multiplayer announcement a couple days ago?
I stopped caring about Rock Band a long time ago. I mean, I still plug in the drum set every now and again. Still play a couple of the DLC songs, but
you're not really upset about it like I am all the time.
I'm upset about Rock Band 4 for its launch, not for what's been happening lately. They have terrible marketing.
What's been happening lately is way worse than the launch. It's getting worse,
yes.
Oh, okay.
So we'll fill you in. We did a big rant, but basically what they're giving with... So Rivals was $30, which is ridiculous.
$40 in Canada, I believe, if not $50.
No, it was still $30 in Canada.
Oh, really?
Because I bought it because my account's still Canadian. I never switched it over because stuff is either the same price or cheaper when you convert it to US dollars. So I just keep paying Canadian dollars. So Rivals was $30, which is stupid. Then on top of that, Rivals was basically just leaderboards, which is not worth $30. Rocky Drama was bad. And then they're like, oh, online multiplayer is coming in an update for Rivals owners only. Which was the other thing. It's like, okay, well, yeah, we're like Rock Band is a platform, but you have to pay for it every year.
Right.
So you don't tell us that when you tell us, oh, it's a platform.
On top of
the $60 price tag for half a game.
And on top of every time I launch it, it doesn't recognize half of my DLC library. And I spend an hour trying to get that thing to work before I can even play one of the songs I want to play.
And it's like, to me, it's a reasonable assumption that you keep updating Rock Band for free because you want people to buy more DLC. Multiplayer sells DLC, which you make lots of money on because people like to buy lots of DLC. Like it just, to me, it makes more sense for them to keep updating it for free so you buy more DLC.
Yeah,
absolutely. Oh, absolutely. We're on the same page.
Like that seems like a no-brainer, and I don't know what's happening to Harmonix. It's a mess.
Well, so then let's shift over to Ubisoft and Freestyle. So what's Ubisoft's play here? I mean,
I think Ubisoft
are they just trying to corner all of the dance/music genre games so that
I don't think Freestyle is going to work on a music game at all.
Just Dance VR by Freestyle Games.
Well, I mean, Freestyle is essentially abandoning Guitar Hero now, right? I mean, that they've integrated into Ubisoft, and I mean, even in their statement that Activision is still supporting Guitar Hero TV, quote unquote supporting. I mean, that's until it's no longer lucrative,
which it hasn't been lucrative for like a year, but. I think they just bought Freestyle Games as a cheap... Instead of hiring new people, they just bought a studio and merged them, effectively merged them with an existing one to work on, Assassin's Creed 35, whatever. It's a studio of people that clearly know how to make games and have worked for a big company before, because basically the impression I got is when Guitar Hero Live flopped miserably, which it did, they let go a whole bunch of people, and basically that was the end of that studio when they, if they didn't sell it, they would have just closed it because...
So what, is it like just 6 people just trying to keep the multiplayer afloat?
I mean, I think it was probably more than that, but because they were still making songs for probably a year. So that's going to take some people. You maintain the servers. There were a few updates, but I think they let go like half the staff or something after the initial kind of launch because it just did so poorly.
Yeah.
And it just generally wasn't that well received. I mean, of course there were hardcore fans that really love it, but I think mostly among like Guitar Hero community, it was pretty like there was not, they microtransactioned it too much to remove the competitive aspect that kept people interested. So by making, by charging for power-ups, by charging for plays and not allowing you to buy songs, you basically removed the score-chasing aspect of the game by devaluing the score with power-ups and limiting the number of times you can replay. There was also no practice mode. There were only like 30 songs on the disc. Like there were just a lot of things against it. And I think I said this before. I felt like the game was made by a group of people that like to play Guitar Hero casually at parties and never made it past medium. Because to me, that's what the game felt like. It was very, very casual, and expert just didn't work well because of many reasons.
But it's so hard to play when you're drunk.
What, the six buttons?
It's not that hard.
Oh, okay.
Well, you can't fail in Guitar Hero TV, so that makes it a little easier.
That's even better, right? That sounds like a party atmosphere. So, that's just miserable. I
think that's what it was. I think it's just Ubisoft picking up a bunch of cheap employees that are already screened.
Yeah, there were such high hopes too for the return of the plastic instrument genre,
and Rock Band 4 could have done it. That's the thing that's crazy.
Horribly wrong.
So could have done it, and there were so many people that were so excited, and then they're like,
ugh. It's just because for me, it's like in Canada, especially, you could. So first, I pre-ordered the Legacy adapter version because I didn't want to spend all that money on all the stuff. And they're like, "Oh, by the way, you remember those $400 Ion drum sets you bought? Yeah, those don't work.
You can't use them
a year and a half because you got to buy ours before we update it.
You got to buy another adapter now that they've also gone silent on the production of these adapters. Like apparently, there's just like 1 million people wanting to buy them and nothing." They're just like, nope, we're not going to talk about that.
Yeah, apparently all the adapters got stuck at the border, and none of them made it into Canada for 3 weeks.
Well, do you remember in Canada the launch of the original Rock Band?
I think I got a little late.
Okay, because for me, I was like really like big into Guitar Hero 3, and I'm like, okay, Rock Band's coming. I'm so excited. I got it pre-ordered, and then they're like, it's delayed forever because like Canada got it like I don't know months later than the US. And I'm pretty sure it was because all of the US band kits were defective and they gave all of the ones that were meant for Canada to the US warranties. I have nothing to back that, but it's just a hunch that it's like a whole bunch of these came from somewhere and they got delayed in Canada.
Yeah, it was a wreck of a launch.
I don't know.
It's embarrassing.
Yeah, I always remember that because I was so excited, and then it's like, why do we have to wait so long?
Even how you mentioned that Guitar Hero Live was for, designed by casuals. That's what it felt like. And that's exactly how Rock Band 4 felt for me, because I was always an expert drum player. I go home, none of my double kicks are registering. None of my drum rolls are registering. I go on Twitter, I'm like, yo, guys, the kicks don't work. And they're like, oh, we designed the kick pedal so that longer motions would activate it. Because this is how we found that most players played. And I'm like, well, you can't double kick, and every song has a double kick, guys. Like, okay, plug it into your computer and update that. All right, except every time I run the software, it crashes, and I can't update. And it's like, to this day, I still don't have an updated drum set. To this day, I still can't properly do double kicks or drum rolls. And it's just like all this money spent, all this time wasted, so much potential, so much time. Yeah. I want to love Rock Band, right?
I know. I do too. That's the thing. And I went into Guitar. So I bought all 3 of these games full price launch day. And I knew Guitar Hero Live was going to be bad. I knew the second they announced that game, it was going to be terrible. So I went
actually quite enjoyed Rock Band Live, to be honest.
Guitar Hero Live, you mean?
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Okay, so I hated it, basically everything about it. I love the idea of Guitar Hero TV, but it was just done so poorly that I can't get behind it. Like, it had so much potential to be really good, and then they just blew it. But it was... Like, I went in knowing that they were going to be bad and knowing I wasn't going to like them, and I was okay with that. I was buying them for the series completion. And, I was going to give it a go. The 6 buttons worked better than I thought it would, but there were so many other things wrong with it that I still hate it. But Rock Band 4, I actually feel like I haven't felt that upset about supporting a game in a long time.
Yep.
And I feel ripped off and deceived in that
Tony
purchase
Hawk that
to this day. Yeah. Fortunately, I didn't buy into that one.
It's so frustrating because the same way you guys are. Like, I actually gave up on Guitar Hero as soon as Rock Band came out. I just dropped Guitar Hero after 3, I guess, after 3. And I loved 1, 2, and 3, and I'm like, I don't care. I don't care what's happening. I'm gonna buy Rock Band because Rock Band is so much. The core gameplay is so amazing. It's so incredible, and it feels so good to play those songs that's really what I'm paying for. And I gave them the benefit of the doubt after the game came out, and it was, like you said, Randy, half a game. And then, they promised to, bring all these features back and do all this stuff. And then Rivals comes out for $30, and it's like, okay. And then now we're getting this nonsense, and it's like, it's getting very, very hard to defend at this point. And it's like, it seems super easy to us as people who love these games. Why can't you do this right? You just keep messing this up. It seems almost intentional.
Yeah. And that was the thing. It's like, well, I guess the other thing I was going to say too is after Rock Band 2 came out, that was it. I was full on board. Like, I would still buy the Guitar Heroes, but I was committed to Rock Band. Like, Rock Band 2 was the turning point for music games where it's like, this is...
Oh, yeah.
Basically as good as it gets. Yeah. And then Rock Band 3, I think Rock Band 3 was like the absolute peak, but it was really just improvements on the things that Rock Band 2 really solidified and made amazing. But yeah, it's like, it feels like, what do you do? Like, are you trying to run Rock Band into the ground? Like, it's like it takes effort to manage it this poorly. Like, you have this huge community of people that want to buy your game and support it. And then you just do this.
Mm-hmm.
But it sounds like the people making the decisions aren't the same people who are making the game. That it's now in the hands of people who are just, well, how can we make this appeal to more people and make more money? And,
But did that much staff change over since Rock Band 3? That's what I'm wondering. Because, like, Rock Band 3 wasn't that long ago.
No, but it's
7 years, wasn't it?
It's a smaller studio now, right? And in Rock Band 3, everything they did was dictated by MTV, right? Isn't that how it worked?
It wasn't MTV, but it was, I want to say I don't think it's Viacom. I mean, MTV was involved, but there was a bigger publisher or something. Right. I forget the name of, but yeah.
And now,
now they're completely independent.
And now their excuse is, we don't have this corporate, financing. We don't have all these resources. But it's like, okay, that's fine. But like you mentioned on the online thing, you've done this before. You I mean, even though you had more resources, you still had the capability to do this before.
But those resources gave you the skills that you should then take. Like, still to this day, they would have been better just porting Rock Band 3 to Xbox One.
Yep.
It would have been better in almost every single way.
But it wasn't possible to get the ions working. It was impossible, guys. My problem
until
too
the
lies,
adapter.
My problem lies too with the fact that even for Rivals, like, I didn't want to pre-order it, but then at one point it was just, it was a late night. I was playing Rock Band. I'm like, I'm gonna buy Rivals, whatever. Like, I'll do it. And then I realized that the 10 songs that come with Rivals were only a pre-order bonus. And that was what I thought was the main thing I was paying for. Yeah,
you get no songs for $30.
Everything that's useful here is like a bonus for something that I'm too late. Apparently, I'm not. My money is not worth the same as everyone else's money now, and I can just go myself essentially. And even for they did a PC Rock Band 4 like. Kickstarter
one
campaign.
That flopped huge, big. They wanted $2 million to port that game to PC,
and they got about half of it.
And they're like, oh, well, this is why it costs so much. I do not believe that it cost $3 million to port your game to PC. Mm-hmm. I think they want that money to finish the game. That's what I think.
They got a lot of problems at that company.
I think they got like $500,000 and it just bombed.
Good.
Yeah. Which I was way too happy about.
You know what they need to do is come up with the new hit app. If they can hit on one of these, and so I'm switching topics to a new thing here. There's a list out of the top grossing apps. Well, not grossing, but the top apps in what they make each minute. So I've sent you guys the image here.
I saw this in
Pokemon
Trello.
Go makes $2,400 a minute, which, you multiply that thing out and you're making like $800,000 a day. Like,
I would just to kind of bring, compare to what we were just talking about. I think Niantic is just as poorly run a company as Harmonix is, by the way. I think they could have easily doubled that number, and they seem to be fumbling this thing. I mean, it's great that they're in number one. Obviously, I've talked about how big of a Pokemon Go fan I am. But it's like, it's another company that seems to be trying not to do the things that the people who play the game want them to do.
Mm-hmm. Well, but with money that much, I mean, the amount of people that entails, I totally agree. I mean, every time I've tried to sign on recently, like just to do a daily check-in or whatever, it's like I had to reboot it about 15 to 30 times just to get like a server connection that's stable. I mean, it's a total disaster. But I mean, I just did the math here. If you're making $140,000 an hour and $3.5 million a day, if you extrapolate this, I mean that's obscene money. Yeah. And how can you not reinvest that into some stable servers or?
Because it's going straight in your pockets.
Significant upgrades. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. But don't worry, there are 3 new Pokemon coming this year, so don't worry, it's totally worth it.
It only costs $2,500 a minute to have them come out.
You get those babies now. Have you, Maka? You've pretty much been done with this after the first month, right? Have you revisited it at all?
I was a big Poke hunter, and I actually signed in for the first time like 2 weeks ago, and I was actually pretty impressed by some of the updates they made. You could actually track Pokemon. It actually worked. There was pictures of where to go and how to get there. And it seemed like the timers on the Pokestops were shorter. It seemed like it was more friendly to people who were in more rural areas. Overall, I was actually pretty impressed. But I definitely stopped playing because I realized the guys making this game had absolutely no idea how the community was using it. Nope. And they were just so out of touch with what people wanted, and they had no idea. They were trying to enforce, like, listen, once you have a hit, and once the people kind of know what they want and what they're looking for, I know that, the customer's always right. They're not always right, but in the case of Pokemon Go, you got to listen to the vast majority of people who are playing your game. And when they made it harder to find Pokemon, when they made it so that you could only essentially find Rattatas and Pidgeys in your general area, the game became boring and no one liked it. And it wasn't fun hunting that next Pokemon because the chance of you finding a Snorlax properly on your own was essentially zero.
Right.
And they just failed miserably at listening to what their audience wanted. And honestly, it's a little bit of a sad story. But now it seems better. I don't know. I'm not really getting into it, like I once did. But who knows? Maybe when the summer rolls around, I was going to say
it's winter. Like I don't feel like they planned for winter at all. And I don't know. Maybe their rollout in other countries that actually have warm weather now. Maybe it's booming down there like it was for us this summer. But here in Minnesota, I'm not going outside.
But how else are you going to catch ice Pokemon? Fream. Come on.
Is Glalie out there?
He may be. He may be.
the rest of this list, I mean, so Pokemon Go aside, right? They're top dog right now, $2,400 a minute. Looking at the rest of this list, it's everyone that you will see major commercials for, or I guess scandals for, right? Is it with Game of War is up there, number 2, 2,200 a minute, right below Pokemon Go. Clash of Clans, Mobile Strike with Arnold himself. Candy Crush Saga, Clash Royale, Candy Crush Soda Saga. I mean, like, these are literally the same games over and over and over.
Yep.
Clash of Kings is on here. I mean, that company in and of itself has got 3 in the top 10. This is just ridiculous.
And the rest are just like casino games and a couple of EA games.
But I'm looking, I mean, even the ones that say, we only make, $200 a minute. Like, yeah, but
only
that's right. Yeah. That's a minute. That's an hour. That's $12,000. You do the whole day, and you're up to $250,000 a day. That's not so bad. Now, realistically though, how long? What's the lifespan of something like these? Because
I don't know, these strategy games, I thought they were going to die out because
I did too.
It's just you just throw money at it. It's who can spend more money. But that's how they get you, because people just like to compete with spending money. Like, who can give this company more money, because it's designed to suck your money in and get you addicted. They're not games; they're addictions. Pokemon Go is still a game.
We just had our interview last week with Dr. Jennifer Hazel about addiction and stuff, and Terrigan asked the question, many of these games, and it's just not games, but casinos, all those sorts of things, hire these psychologists so that they know how to get people's money out of their wallet and entice them to put it into something that has absolutely no value. Mm-hmm. And I'm looking at these and I'm like, these must be the greatest psychological minds if they've created such a beautiful system to rob people of their hard-earned money for, like you said, who can spend more money in these apps. It's a travesty. And, and you look at these numbers and you start to think, why would I ever want to develop a AAA game? Why would I want to spend that much money to make a $60 game that people are going to buy once and probably are going to crap on just because, the expectations are going to be too high, when I could, invest a fraction of that, make 30 app games, and hope one of them hits?
Well, I was I don't even remember where I was reading this, but so there was two things. There was one thing I saw that broke down the estimates of 2016 revenue. I'm pretty sure it was revenue, not profit, on gaming by platform. Mobile was more than PC and all consoles combined.
More revenue.
By a lot. I think it was millions. I don't know if it was measured in millions or billions. Might have been billions more, which I wouldn't doubt.
But I mean, the overhead is so small on many of these small little studios.
It makes a lot more sense. Those mobile has a crazy amount larger audience than any of those platforms. I mean, how many?
And all of the money-making games are these addictive money suckers that you just keep pouring your money into.
Do any of you play any of these games besides Pokemon? I play Pokemon Go. That's the only one on this list that I do.
I refuse to play any kind of game like that because I don't want to support it in any way, shape, or form. Because of this. This is exactly why. And I guess the other thing too is because this is now mobile games are giant business. There are no unless you have a multi-million-dollar marketing budget, your mobile game will never sell or catch on, or it just gets lost. Because,
pretty much.
There's no... It's ruled by, like you said, the one company has 6 of these in the top 10 or top 8 or whatever. It's just ruled by those companies, and there's no... They're so big, there's no competition anymore, because if you don't play that game, well, why are you wasting your time? Yeah. Why are you wasting your money on giving this company money? You can give us money instead, and all your friends are giving us money too.
Yeah. Maka, what about you? You dabble in any of these?
I mean, I played a little Pokemon Go. Didn't mind it. Got me out of the house. Got me riding my bike. Whatever. About 3 years ago, probably had a little bit of a minor addiction to Candy Crush. But once I reached the point of the game where I felt like I could no longer progress without putting money into it, I stopped playing that game, uninstalled it, and never reinstalled it. Although I do know people who haven't spent $1 on it and are like 1,500 levels in. So, I mean, whatever floats your boat. Like, I'm not really going to sit here and criticize someone for playing it. You know, it's
their prerogative, right?
Yeah. Candy Crush, it had a firm grasp on my life, but happy to have not played it for a long time. And as for the numbers, though, like, I know a lot of these made a lot, but I know a lot, you know, GTA 5 online microtransactions are making them so much money that they're not even developing single player, DLC anymore for that game. So, it'd be interesting to see how these stack up against something like Halo 5 Rex and GTA 5 Shark Cards or whatever they're called.
I feel a bit differently about GTA, though, because you can get a good experience out of GTA Online without spending any money. It's not like it's designed. I mean, obviously, there's going to be aspects of it that are designed to suck your money, but it's generally a good experience, and it's had a lot of updates and a lot of content that it really is free. Yeah. That it is actually free. It's not pretend free like Candy Crush, where they add another 10,000 levels.
I would imagine that for the average person who actually cares about and is playing Candy Crush, they would probably feel the same way about Candy Crush that you feel about GTA. Mm-hmm. I think, to be honest.
But is Bejeweled not the same thing, but not designed to suck all your money out?
I don't know. I'm not quite sure. But
and Bejeweled's like $3 once. Like, you're set.
They just have a terrible business model
of not sucking your money out.
Right. Right. I mean, everybody's moving to the microtransaction model because it's a way, you know, and like Maka said, it's your prerogative. You can spend your money however you want. Now,
and I don't blame. I mean, I blame the people spending money in certain circumstances, but I mostly blame the company for being terrible and getting people addicted to it. You don't. You know, unless you're a rain cloud like me that just hates all of the horrible things in the industry, I mean, you're not going to think anything of spending $5 on Candy Crush, and then you do that times, you know, however many. But so here's my question: people play it.
Here's my question to you, right? Like, you know, the gaming circles that we run into, like we tend to be a little bit more hardcore, right? The games that we play tend to be a little more in depth. We know a lot about the gaming industry. We enjoy games. I play a ton of games on my phone. I will not spend money on a mobile phone game, and I don't know any of my friends who do either. So is it because we're a little more educated in terms of gaming, so we don't do this, and we know there are experiences that don't require these microtransactions, and it's purely, hinging on the casual crowd? Or do you guys have a bunch of buddies that I don't know about that are spending money on these games?
I'm guessing it's more the people that you talk games with. Because I assume you're probably not talking games with super casual people that that are, that may also play these games. You probably, I don't know. Do you use social media a lot?
Well, let's ask Maka. He uses social media all the time.
Oh yeah, I mean, do.
like your personal one, not your kind of like public facing one, but your personal.
Well, that's his.
Your
that
personal
his.
social media.
It's a little bit of kind of both go hand in hand at this point.
Oh, yeah, that's what he's trying to sell is him.
But I mean, I don't know. Like, do you? Let's just specify it to Facebook. So do you have a personal Facebook that is just for you, that is just for your, like, you and your kind of Facebook friends, but not your Maka91
right? Yeah.
Public facing
I do have
part.
A personal Facebook page. I would say that I probably hold many of the same feelings towards Facebook as you hold towards Candy Crush. Yeah. I hate that company with a passion.
But that's the thing is the people that are using. I think the key to, at least initially, with Candy Crush being so addictive is that it pits you against your Facebook friends. I mean, I don't know if it still does. Does it still do that?
Yeah, I think there's the option to integrate that, but you don't have to. But I think there is that option.
Because it kind of peaked around that same time where like everyone was still on Facebook and everybody still posted. I know Facebook is kind of like dipped off a bit in the way it's used.
You should tell it to Facebook. I don't know if they feel that way.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I guess people my age, like, I think everyone my age has moved on to Instagram. I mean, it's owned by Facebook. They're still making $1 bazillion. They don't care which side you're using. But I feel like people my age don't really post and use Facebook the same way they did, like, say, I don't know, like 2007, 2008. Right. Then where it's like, you know, you posted everything to Facebook. You posted all your pictures on Facebook. Everyone you knew was on Facebook. And you played those Facebook games like Farmville, the kind of like the early, like the Zynga games, like Farmville. And then Candy Crush came along where it was on your phone. And this is when, you know, a lot of people are starting to have smartphones. Everyone's still on Facebook. And now Candy Crush is putting you against your Facebook friends being like, hey, Billy Johnson spent more money than you did.
Oh, you know Billy Johnson too?
Oh, God, my mutual friends.
So Billy Johnson spent all this money on Candy Crush, and look at Billy Johnson's score. If you spend $20, you can beat him too. But you're only going to get that if you have a big social media circle. Where I hate Facebook. I try to avoid using it as much as I can. And, you know, I use it to keep in touch with, you know, now having moved to another country on the other side of the continent, you know, I use it to keep in touch with a lot of my real life friends, and that's mostly just through the messenger.
Yep.
But, you know, if you're somebody who really likes to post on Facebook and uses Facebook all the time and does have that big, like, Facebook circle of friends that all use it, and you all play Candy Crush, it's going to be a lot more lucrative to spend money on it. And it can be like, oh, look, I beat Billy Johnson.
Right.
Because I spent $200 and he only spent $150. Where, you know, I feel like our kind of gaming circles are more, you know, we play on our consoles and phones just for whatever. You know, and if you don't have that big kind of Facebook circle to go with it, then you're going to have even less motivation to want to support that game. I don't know. I've thought about this quite a lot, and that's kind of my conclusion.
What do you think?
Don't like these
think,
games.
Maka?
I think they're a plague.
You know what? I don't know. Like, my stance on DLC and microtransactions over the last 5 years, it's I wouldn't say flip-flopped, but it's definitely been challenged. You know what? I know a ton of people who spend real money to buy Overwatch loot boxes. I know people who Rainbow Six Siege is a game I play almost every night. One of my favorite games of the last probably 10 years. And the season pass is completely optional, but everyone I know owns it.
Sure.
Everyone I know has gun skins that cost $2.99. Why? I don't know. We want red weapons. Is there a good reason? Not really. Other than the fact that we love Rainbow, and we think the red gun skin looks cool on our guns, you know, there's no real good reason for us to be spending this money and rewarding Ubisoft with essentially what is lazy game design, right? So it's this, like, weird thing where maybe back in the day I would have been iffy about it, but now, like, if I hear my friend spent $50 on Overwatch skins, it's like, I don't know, like, that's fine. If that's what he likes, like, it's all good. A part of me does miss the idea of being able to buy, like, a single player add-on or certain maps to a game, or being more in charge of, you know, an experience that I'm going to get with my money versus, in Overwatch's case, essentially, you know, I don't like the practice of essentially slot machines or casinos in games. You're paying $20 to unlock the chance at getting the skin you want, which I don't like. And I, you know, firsthand, as someone who plays a lot of Halo 5, one of the reasons I stopped playing online was because of the rec system. They would have these updates that would have all these cool things in them, and even though I've played the game for 300 hours, I still haven't played it enough to be able to unlock the things I want to unlock in the new updates. So it's like, and like Gears of War 4, for example, I think has one of the worst microtransaction systems of the last 10 years. So it's like, you know, it's definitely a game-to-game basis, and it's it's hard to compare what, hardcores like ourselves are playing on console to what our parents may be playing on Candy Crush. And for all intents and purposes, maybe Candy Crush means as much to these people as Rainbow Six means to me. And although maybe I can enjoy the added layers of complexity, the characters and the map design and the game design of Rainbow, there's certain crowds who they appreciate the game design and game levels and progression of Candy Crush as much as I do in Rainbow. And to them, it might be worth their $30 the same way the season pass is worth $30 to me. It's all about perspective. And as a hardcore, it's definitely easy to look at a game like Candy Crush and just be like, why would anyone spend money on this, right?
Yeah.
But
absolutely.
I know people can get the same feeling I get from playing a really good game, when they play Candy Crush.
Now, I
just want to jump in here, but I'm glad you said the comment about maybe 5 years ago I would have hesitated at spending $3 on a skin, because that's something I missed I don't know, or maybe didn't miss, but just something I want to comment on. And that's kind of the thing that scares me with the direction this is going, is people have just gotten numb to it. It is like, 5 years ago, like, could you remember, I said this before, I'm going to say it again here because it's appropriate. Remember when horse armor was a tragedy?
Yep.
Like, horse armor is in every game that comes out now, and it's way worse. It costs 5 times as much. But just like in 2007, so like 10 years ago, that was like an outrage when they're like, you got to pay $5 for skins. And I don't know. It's like, if it only takes that long to get to the point that it is now, how long is it going to be until every game is like Candy Crush?
But I look at it, and like, now I'll go back to what Maka said. It's, you are rewarding a developer because they've created an experience you enjoy. And so you are a willing participant in giving them more money to say, keep this up. I'm enjoying what you're giving me here. And so, I'm overpaying for some cosmetic item, but it makes my gameplay more fun, and I appreciate that. So thank you. Here's essentially a tip, right? Here's a tip. And I get a cool looking gun skin, and you can buy an extra cup of coffee or whatever. I mean, that's ultimately what the model is here, but it's under the guise of, you are continually having to feed this beast, otherwise it's not going to work.
Mm-hmm. It also feels very get off my lawn-ish to not accept that things are changing. I mean, this industry is very hit-driven, and you cannot sustain however X amount of dollars it takes to design a AAA game every 3 or 4 or 5 years with no income in between. So you just kind of have to accept that this is part of the world that we live in now. And it can be done well, and it can be done very poorly. And it's frustrating when it's done poorly, and it's, I would say, almost forgotten when it's done well. Like,
right.
We've been arguing all night about how Rock Band 4 is this terrible model, or terrible game, anyways. But the Rock Band model is perfect for the DLC situation.
The DLC is great. Yeah, I think that they did that way ahead of their time and so well, and the price was so fair. Like, I never regretted buying, even songs I'd never played. I didn't regret buying because they were there. Somebody came over and wanted to play. Sure.
So you can do it well, and you can do it right, and it's just it's the tug and pull of this company is of course going to exploit the fact that people are addicted and people are willing to pay this amount of money. And then the other companies are going to be like, okay, maybe not. So, it's just the industry is changing. And, what used to be a single off $60 purchase is now 10 $5 purchases or whatever that you're willing to do.
Mm-hmm. But it's the $60 purchase plus 10 $5 purchases.
Sure. Yeah.
But I don't know. My thing is like, yes, I'm okay with it, but it's like, it's so excessive, and it gets to the point like now we're seeing in multiplayer, like Maka, you mentioned, I haven't played Gears 4, but looking at the way it's set up is like they basically just took seriously and made it like a Candy Crush achievement, where it's like you have to dump all this money into it because Horde is now a microtransaction city, where it's like you have that kind of harming the gameplay significantly. And I don't know, I think that's bad, because you're going to start to see, if it existed independently of kind of regular games, that's one thing, but it's going into regular games and it's harming them. If it was just cosmetic and it stayed that way, you know, I'm kind of against it with the excessive pricing. But okay, that's another thing. Like League of Legends, like they do a great job of the cosmetic thing, but when it starts to leak into the actual gameplay and harm it, then that's where I get concerned, because we're going to start to lose real games, and they're going to just become microtransactions and addictive things. And you even see that with the progression system and everything. Everything has a progression system now, because it keeps you wanting to play more and more and more. And I don't know. Maybe I'm a rain cloud that wants everyone to get off my lawn, but I don't know. I feel like it continues to go in the direction that I think it's going, and I don't like it.
Yeah, that's a fair analysis, I would say. Like, I always so you look at a game like Overwatch and the way it's being executed, and undoubtedly there are microtransactions, and undoubtedly all of them are 100% completely optional.
Yeah, Overwatch is another one that, like, almost I pretty much have no issue with the way they do it, because it's done so well.
And because of that, we're able to get, one free map every, X amount of months, and free title updates every once in a while, fixing all the issues without them feeling like they're wasting money. Because back in the day, companies would release these games. Essentially, when you gave them your $60, they just moved on. They didn't care about what the game was, what was happening. You have games like Overwatch that are completely evolving. You have games like Rainbow Six that are being patched and updated to the point where the game we have 1 year later is unrecognizable from the game we had at launch. They're supporting esports if it fits for their game, which in the case of Rainbow and Overwatch, it does. They're supporting their communities in a lot. There's definitely the right way to do it and the wrong way to do it. And I'm definitely supporting the companies that are doing it right. In my opinion, that's something Rainbow Six is doing. And Ubisoft went out and said, hey, look, from now on, every single one of our games is following the Rainbow Six DLC model. You have the core game. Everyone has access to the exact same stuff. Anything you buy won't necessarily give you an advantage just because, you have access to something that someone else doesn't. And I like that. And it allows, as much as I enjoy that game, knowing that I'm getting all these free updates, that every time I log in, they're going to be, all the issues are going to be fixed. The fact that they're telling me exactly what's coming in my season pass before they even announce the first part of it is like a huge, turn on for me. That's exactly what I want.
I was going to say, that's a novel concept these days.
Yeah. To not be selling your DLC before your game announcement, right? And when it comes to something like that, like, I don't mind dropping $3, but it does feel almost indistinguishable from dropping $3 in Candy Crush sometimes, right?
Yeah.
It's hard for your brain to tell the difference sometimes, and it is dangerous territory we're getting into, but I mean, hopefully, it works out. I don't know.
I prefer this model than the model of paying, $80, $100, $120 off the bat for a new game or a new IP or something, right? If you get the whole thing, but you've got to pay twice as much money because it takes so much more to develop. I'd much rather other people support that through, these iterative microtransactions than me footing all the bill on the front end, because if I don't care for it, then I don't have to continue to contribute. I'll give you my money one time, test it out. If you continue to do right by me, then yeah, here you go.
At the same time, we run the risks of GTA 5 happening, where we don't end up getting a single-player DLC because of how successful microtransactions are. We run the risk of having another Destiny, where they say, hey, these emotes are doing so well for us. Here's more emotes, guys. So it's a bit of a risky move. At what point does Overwatch go, hey, people spend so much money on their skins, why even make a new map? Just make more skins. So it's a risk. It's a risk reward, and at some point we got to trust the companies, which is hard to do.
It really is. It really is. So
I don't know about that one. That's a big red flag for me.
Yeah. Well, it's your money. You get to do what you want. If the companies
are not publicly traded, I will trust them more, except Harmonix and Volition. Except Volition is owned by Deep Silver, which is probably publicly traded.
I think Deep Silver is.
Yeah, I think so too.
Anyway.
They're like the real world shovelware empire. Like Deep Silver has got a special place in the land of shovelware. Up there with Big Ben.
There you go. We're going to look at a tweet that Phil Spencer responded to. So he was asked, will we see new IP on Xbox this year or next year? That wasn't mentioned before. And Phil actually responded, and, well, Phil's Twitter account responded and said, Xbox One's games shipping this year are different for us. Not Halo first-person shooter or Gears led. We had new experiences with different IP. Will be a fun year. What is Phil talking about here? What kind of, I mean, clearly this isn't all Cuphead, right? Like, what other new IPs are on the horizon that we know about? And I mean, is this gearing up for a Scorpio launch? I mean, is that where we're going to see all this new fancy IP? Or I mean, everything's got to go on both, right? The Xbox One and the Scorpio.
Well, yeah, according to what they're saying, I don't buy it, but we lost Scaleborn
for a while. But
I'm thinking like a year.
I'm thinking like 2 or 3, and then after, like, I think Crackdown will probably launch and be like, hey, Crackdown 3 available on both, but if you want to do the cool stuff online, then it's only on the Scorpio.
Yeah, see, that's the thing, and it. I don't get Crackdown 3 because it to me it's vaporware. Like, I think it is gone, and then like out of the blue after being silent for like a year and a half, it's like, oh yeah, it's still here. Like, it was on some list that somebody tweeted, and it's like, it's been silent for like forever.
I'm sure they had a lot of issues with the Xbox One, and they're trying to figure out how they can possibly do all the 100% destructible environments on a console that we currently have versus the console that we will have this fall.
But then it seems like, is it going to be a Scorpio launch title? Because it's been in development for a while, and then it's like, well...
Or it takes the scalebound approach.
Yeah, and just it dies. I don't know. I mean, that's what I thought happened. I mean, it seemed like it just... They had all this stuff that they were talking about. They're like, oh, we're going to give away all these custom controllers and all this stuff and do this. And then it was just silence. So, I don't know. But then it's like, okay, well, if it's on the Scorpio, like, what? Are they still going to have the cloud computing thing for the One? And then just do it all locally on the Scorpio, but then is it going to be like an exclusive Scorpio game? But they said they're not going to do that, so I don't know. I don't buy it.
Call of Duty did that with, you're going to get more multiplayer options on the One than you did on the 360. Or they dumbed down the textures, and they did,
So they're going to pull a Harmonix and be like, well, technically.
I mean, they're not wrong, right?
Yeah, but Harmonix is not wrong in calling the multiplayer. They're just dishonest and like
you can't possibly think
misleading.
that companies aren't going to optimize for the Scorpio and downgrade for the One.
Okay, but optimizing is one thing, cutting a core feature is another. I mean, I'm saying I don't think Crackdown 3 could run the way they presented it on the One unless they do, like, I think the Scorpio could handle it, but the 1 definitely could not. So are they going to have the cloud computing thing for the 1 and have it local on the Scorpio, or are they going to make it so you can't destroy things on the 360 or on the 1 and you can on the Scorpio? It just, I don't know. Crackdown 3 was just, it had all these ambitions, and then it seems like, okay, you're going to this console. It's like 8 of the last console, and it seems like Crackdown 3 would be the logical thing to show that off. But
certainly fun to speculate.
I don't know.
What do you think, Maka?
I don't know.
I mean, either way you look at it, Crackdown's not a new IP, though.
Nope.
So I guess what we're talking about here is, I mean, our only option, Sea of Thieves, right?
Sea of Thieves,
yeah.
Right? That can't be the only one.
Unless there's something that's unannounced. Like,
well, I'm sure there is, but...
But, I mean, is it that far, like, is it far enough along that they're like, this is coming out in 6 months, or are they going to do a Ghost Recon Wildlands and say this is going to come out in 3 years?
Forza 7.
It's called Forza 7.
Yeah, that's true. They didn't mention Forza.
It's called Halo 3 Remastered.
I know you're hanging your hat on that one.
Yep. I sure am. My favorite game of all time. I've lost thousands of hours to Halo 3.
If it's done by 343, I'm not touching that.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
343 is a very bad track record.
Although, to be fair, even if it was done by Bungie at this point, I would be very skeptical of it. So I don't even know who I'd want to do it.
It's somebody new.
Bungie still makes... The gameplay in Destiny is undeniably incredible.
I guess, if you say so.
The game design and the things around it might not be, but gunplay in Destiny, probably untouched.
If you say so.
Proulx, you haven't even played. Get out of here.
I have played Destiny. I played it a ton when it was first released.
It's funny you bring up Halo 3 because I was just back in the old country a few weeks ago, or a couple weeks ago, I guess. And that's where, like, I have actual friends in real life to play games with me. And we played, like, almost the only game we played was Halo 3. Because it's so good. It's so good multiplayer because you can just have people, like, jump in and, like, you know, we just play social games. And it was so much fun. It was just like playing it back when we all used to have Xbox 360s and, like, play together online. And, like, the population on there was crazy. There were like 25,000 people.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
point.
Yeah, that's Halo 3 continues to have a life of its own. But as for these like new IPs, though, I mean, from what we know, we have Sea of Thieves.
Yeah.
And I've been on record to say if they've shown all their cards, then they have a lot to worry about because the games that are coming out this year, they're just simply not enough. For me, at least, and I know many other people, you know, people will disagree. There's just not enough to get excited about coming from Microsoft. There's a lot to get excited about from Ubisoft. There's a lot to get excited about from Rockstar and from other companies. But in terms of what Microsoft is offering us for the Xbox, there's simply not enough to get excited about.
It's
pretty
just
slim.
Regurgitating the same stuff over and over and over again.
Yeah, and they need to announce something
like they
new.
have been for a long time. I mean, it's...
Yep. And then just going through the list of all the, you know, Halo Wars 2, State of Decay 2, Forza Motorsport 7, you know, I mean, everything has a number to it.
At the same time,
a big
though,
number.
At the same
Those
time,
are great
though,
games, or they
right.
could be.
But I talk a lot about this with Rand even over on TXR and outside of TXR and party chats. Microsoft has a little bit of an issue committing. There is no Rise 2. Mm-hmm. There is no Sunset Overdrive 2. There's a lot of games that had potential 2s that never saw those potentials. And I always like to argue that a lot of my favorite games, a lot of games that hit their stride, did it in the second one. Most people will argue Assassin's Creed number 2 is the best one. Yep. Uncharted 2 is the best Uncharted. And the list goes on. And there are a lot of games that hit their stride. And I think a game like Rise could have hit its stride in the second one. I think a game like Recore could hit its stride in its second one. Yeah. A game like Sunset Overdrive, too. So, you know, as much as they like adding numbers to Gears, to Forza, to Halo, sometimes they don't add enough numbers to some of their truly unique and potential holding franchises. So it's this weird battle. It's like people want new stuff, but people like old stuff. And historically speaking, I think if done correctly, the number 2 of a franchise can be excellent. So I don't know. I'd like to see them commit a little bit to some of the franchises they do announce. They seem a little bit loosey-goosey with it. But at the same time, I think they need to announce some new stuff too. So, it's one of those hard battles. You want a little bit of everything, and it's kind of their job to provide you with the perfect formula that you never knew you wanted. And hopefully they come closer to that than they are right now, for me at least. Halo Wars 2 will be fun, but it's nothing to, go crazy about. State of Decay 2, as much as State of Decay 1 was good, and as much as I believe in the guys who are making State of Decay 2, the way it's being advertised as though it's a AAA title is a little dishonest. I don't think it's going to be as polished as people might expect it to be.
Sure.
Sea of Thieves is going to be a little bit of a Minecraft experience, I think. It's going to be a little bit of an invent your own adventure and screw around with your friends, and people are going to be like, hey, this isn't for me.
I think Sea of Thieves is really looking like a very select audience. Just like at how incredibly forced co-op it seems to be. Like, I don't have 4 people to play with almost ever.
Right.
So, like, I mean, as much as I would like to play Sea of Thieves, I just don't think it's going to work.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, but look at Destiny, right? You need 6 people to do a raid, and they've got LFGs all over the place.
Like, I think there's going to be a hardcore group of people that play it a lot, but it's not going to be a mass hit. I think it's going to be a good game because they're letting Rare actually do something for once. But it's just not going to be like this big wide appeal because
I would have said the same thing about Minecraft.
So much.
I do not like Minecraft. But it's not fun for me.
But Minecraft you can play by yourself.
I'm sure you can play Sea of Thieves by yourself.
I don't know.
I think you can.
Really?
Well, we don't know. We don't know enough about it either way.
Okay. Suffice it to say, if you can
play it by yourself, that opinion totally changes. But it just, everything that I've seen about it makes it look like you have to be playing with 4 people and communicating constantly. All the time.
I'm sure you can get a small little boat and go exploring, and, maybe you'll get battered in the sea. I don't know.
We'll see. I would like to hope it is going to be good. I just don't think it will. I mean, I think it'll be good, just not what they're hoping.
I think it won't be for me, but I'm holding out on something being announced.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to. Well, I mean, is it going to be E3 or is it going to be an earlier, Scorpio reveal event where they're going to start pumping out new games because they can't showcase the Scorpio technologically because most people aren't watching their trailers with 4K monitors, so they can't see the up resolution. We kind of look at what Sony did with their PlayStation Pro announcement. I was like, well, it's pretty underwhelming when you look at my crappy computer here. So are they going to take that opportunity to say, hey, here's Scorpio, and here's some of the games we're going to announce. Wait for E3. We'll give you some more games.
When does Raincloud E3 roll around anyway?
Still June. It hasn't changed.
June 13th to the 15th?
I've forgotten because I'm just so bitter about E3.
Because they're gonna do the Scorpio announce before that. They're not gonna wait till E3 for it.
Why so serious about E3?
I have a whole history with E3 and how I used to love it, and then it just turned into like scripted garbage and badly scripted, where it's just like people reading scripts and just not being enthusiastic. And
show us on the doll where E3 hurt you.
I have, yeah.
Ridge Racer.
It really comes down to, I used to really get excited about E3 and I used to really like to watch E3, and then it just became like kind of the whole thing with like me not getting excited about games anymore because everything is just a lie and way overstated and way overblown, and just the lie engine just sums up everything I hate about E3. So then I do a miserable tweeting of I did last year and I enjoyed it way more than I should have, of just raining on all of E3. I put on my Raincloud outfit and I tweet about E3. And I make an E3 report card and say, everybody got an F-.
So here's the thing, Randy, because Maka shares a lot of your outlook on, be getting excited about games. From everything I've heard on your podcasts, Maka, that you don't tend to get excited because you want to wait to see what shows up and play what shows up.
I just got burned too many times.
I haven't, because I literally expect the worst from every game. It's
I do
a terribly
now.
Sad life, I know.
Except Rock Band. Rock Band, I held to a higher standard and I got burned again. Yeah. Doom, I didn't, though. I actually expected to get burned on Doom, and I didn't.
Right.
That's like the first time ever.
Yeah, I don't expect anything. I don't ever. On the plus side, I never expect a game to be good, and I never expect a game to be bad. A lot of the times, I end up surprised by games that a lot of people expect to be good, and they're just like, for example, Watch Dogs. Everyone was up in arms about Watch Dogs. They lied to us. Maybe they did lie. I don't know.
Yeah, Watch Dogs was like the beginning of the lie engine.
Right.
Like, that was like,
but to me,
like the first lie engine game.
I wasn't offended. I never bought into the hype. I just played Watch Dogs, and without all of the emotions of everything leading up to the release, Watch Dogs was a pretty solid, okay, fun to play game. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't what they advertised. But when I went into it expecting nothing and I got what Watch Dogs is, it was pretty good.
I like that mindset.
And the same, the same happens with like even incredible games where you expect the absolute best. Metal Gear Solid 5. I just don't expect, I don't know. I've found myself in the same kind of rut that you are in, probably before Watch Dogs came out. And I applied this rule to my entire life. Don't expect anything out of anything. Always kind of, don't hope for the worst, but expect the worst. And you'll always be pleasantly surprised.
I guess that was my thing with Guitar Hero Live, was that I knew that I was going to hate it. And I accepted that, and I was fine with that, and I bought it with that expectation, and I was fine.
Right.
Where like Rock Band was the opposite, and then just that one just put me on a whole nother low. But
there's your lesson.
The game that killed it for me, I think I've said this before, Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts. After that game came out, I don't remember. I think that was the last game I got excited about.
That's the day Randy died.
Yeah,
it was terrible.
Like,
I'm not gonna lie to you.
It was not. It was a lie. It was like they announced it. They're like, yeah, Banjo game. They like hinted at it for years, and then like every once in a while a new little thing would trickle out, and they're like, it's a build car game.
Travesty.
Called Banjo-Kazooie.
So I'm a little nervous.
Banjo-Kazooie characters.
I'm a little nervous now then, because there's a game that was just announced that I am very excited about. And now I'm nervous because you guys are getting me worked up here. It is, I'm not sure how many Warhammer fans there are out here. And I know Warhammer's got a ton of, games that float around. But this is in the Warhammer 40K universe, right? And it was a tabletop game called Necromunda. You guys familiar with Necromunda at all? Did you ever play with the miniatures? Essentially,
I never played any tabletop games.
Essentially, It was a 3-dimensional. You made like a 3-dimensional board. It was on a small table, and it was gang warfare, right? So you had like 8 to 10 dudes. And, you look, you get your line of sight, you do all this kind of, XCOM movement, right? Turn-based movement, roll dice to see if you could shoot the dude. And, like, after every battle, if you got a guy wounded, you have to roll on this chart and see what happened to him. Like, he could either die, or he can get some really awesome-looking scars and, like, cause fear and stuff. I played this tabletop game for an entire summer. Like, it was just glorious. I had so much fun with it. And now they're coming out with, and we always talked about this, like, this would be great as a video game. Well, Focus Home Interactive is now doing this video game, and they are claiming it is going to be a turn-based tactical RPG. And that is exactly what I want out of this game. Now, they are, so the company that also made Mordheim, the City of the Damned, that is the non-shooty version of this game, essentially. I hear that wasn't as good, so I'm a little nervous, but I'm really excited about this, and apparently we're going to get more information in February. But
I won't tell you a story about a game that's based on a tabletop game that was very disappointing. Just a little rain cloud story. A bunch of my friends. See, this was after. I think this was after I stopped buying into hype. So maybe it wasn't Banjo-Kazooie. I feel like this happened before. I don't know. Sometime around Banjo-Kazooie, I just stopped buying into hype. And all of my friends got really excited about Warhammer Online. Did any of you guys buy into that one?
Nope.
Well, they all got really excited about it, like really excited. I think they played it for like a week.
After paying like a year for...
And they're like, this is not
subscription?
No, I think they only bought like 2 months or something because it came with a month or something. I don't know.
Wait, they didn't. They didn't game that everyone was excited for and only played for a week. Are you sure you're not talking about Titanfall?
There you go.
Well, it was like I just remember this because like this was like my friends didn't take getting disappointed about games as hard as I did, but like they were bitter about this one for a long time. So
I'm nervous now.
Just gonna rain on your game a little bit.
I'm nervous. Well, we'll see in February. If what I want is I want it to be like XCOM. Like, can you just make a gang warfare game like XCOM? Like that's what I want. We'll see. I'm crossing my fingers, guys. I think that's about it for what we need to review. Do we have any knobs and discos this week, Randy? Anything that you...
I don't think so. I haven't seen anything, and there's nothing from Tarragon, so I think that's it for that.
Gotcha. Well, we'll move into our review segment, but we want to give Maka a proper send-off.
I have one more thing I want to ask Maka while you're here. As a fellow Rock Band 4 disappointment guy that likes Rock Band, and Proulx as well. So I said earlier in the show before you joined us that this was like the first thing that really got the Rock Band subreddit up in arms with this really, really poorly received multiplayer announcement. So my question is, and me being a rain cloud, I'm kind of thinking that this is, I think, is something very bad. Is this kind of the potential turning point for Rock Band where it's like it's going to die again? Because this is so right. Poorly received, and it's kind of all the other things also built up to this, and this was the tipping point.
Yeah, I mean they Tony Hawked it, like I said earlier. I honestly want to, as much as I love Rock Band as a series, as much as I still enjoy hopping on my drums and playing a couple DLC songs in Rock Band 4, I unfortunately, I don't think the management at Harmonix that's calling the decisions is doing a good enough job. And I think a lot of people have been turned off and turned away. And I don't know if those people will ever be regained as fans or players. And I think I don't want it. I don't want to think this, but I do, however, believe that it's the end of Rock Band, at least as we know it. They'll continue to spit out DLC. They'll continue to try to sell stuff. But in terms of a revival of rhythm games, no.
I guess I mean like the end of Rock Band as in we're not going to see like another kind of rival season of content next year. Like just where they just cut it like, okay, development's over. We'll probably stop making DLC in a year because nobody plays anymore.
Yeah.
Kind of like, this final straw is kind of like where people are just fed up with it and they're just going to be like, no, I'm sick of dealing with your almost lies.
Right.
I'm done supporting you.
They're not fostering the community at all in the way that they should. I mean, they're actively hurting the people that want to, like, I want to love it. I love Rock Band. I want to be a fan and get behind it. And if we were back in Rock Band 2 or Rock Band 3 days and they were like, we're going to come out with a piece of DLC every year that would be worth playing, I would buy into that. I would pay $30 a year for that.
I would have been much happier buying Rivals in like Rock Band 2 era because everything else was so good.
Totally. But
like even if Rivals was just Rivals, that was literally just a leaderboard, like a clan leaderboard for $30, I would have been okay.
It's just not sustainable now. It's not sustainable because they don't have that base level of confidence. They don't have that. They don't even have those core kind of features that we expect out of Rock Band. And it sucks, and it's disappointing, and
I feel like they had like an extra little boost of confidence, and they've just not only did they not have any confidence, they've like burned through that extra little boost.
I gave Rock Band a total pass on the horrendous launch that was Rock Band 4. I was like, nope, it's fine. I don't care. It's fine if it was not totally there. I'll stick by them. And at this point, I'm kind of past it. I don't think there's any coming back at this point, unfortunately, as much as I want there to be.
I do think they're going to attempt something because the way I know they're thinking about it is, you know what? We have this library of 2,500 songs, each of them $2 a piece. And how do we get people to buy this existing piece of a library? Like, essentially, how do we get people to buy into our ecosystem, into our marketplace? They're gonna see all their songs that they have on the store. They're gonna see it as a potential payday at some point again, like they did when the Xbox One came out, and the PS4. And I think when they see that opportunity again, they won't be able to help themselves. And I think there will definitely be a resurgence of them trying to get people to buy the existing songs on the marketplace. And whether or not that's them releasing Rock Band 5, just as, even if they lose money on Rock Band 5, if it's just a way for them to try to sell DLC, they might do it. But I don't know if it's not already too late and if the community's already out of it. I would say that they've already spent their one opportunity on a large handful of people, but there are definitely people out there who will give them another chance. And if they're able to successfully pull it off, maybe there's some hope, but they will attempt something for sure. They're not done milking the cow yet, but whether or not they're going to, successfully get anything out of it is very debatable.
Now, let me tell you, if they announce a Rock Band 5, no buy from me. I'll buy it when it's like $10 in 2 weeks after it launches, because that seems to be what happens.
Oh, yeah.
But
gets heavy discounts.
Well, that was like Rivals with Rock Band 4 and a guitar was $40 like 6 weeks after Rivals came out. And Rivals DLC digitally, like just the DLC, is still $30. So, I mean, it's pretty bad. But no, I just wanted to get your take on that as a fellow Rock Band fan, because I've been reining it up.
Yeah.
I guess I don't think I'm that far off.
If we pulled all the Rock Band content out of this show, I'm not sure how long this show would be.
I mean, it's a big deal. Like that announcement was a big
travesty, huh?
Big blow to Rock Band. Like, I mean, and that's like, I thought it was a little extreme at first in being like, I think this is the end. And the more I think about it, the more I think, no, I think that was like the last thing, and that's going to kill it unless like you said, I think it's even too late for them to pull people back. Because even if they redeemed every issue I had, I could never trust them again, ever. Like, I could never buy into any new thing that came out.
And I can't even envision a scenario. Like, I don't even know what they would have to do that. They would have to come out with something.
Just like refund me all the money that I spent or something.
They would have to release something for free that was awesome and incredible and something we've never seen before. I just don't think it's possible.
Yeah.
You guys ask too much.
No, we don't. We spent $90 on Rock Band. For half a game.
Yeah, well,
some 90. I had to buy the.
I was going to say some people bought all the instruments.
Well, okay, just the game, not the instruments. The instruments are separate, and the accessories are separate. Anyway, we'll get off our Rock Band now.
Fantastic. And we'll let Maka get back to his life beyond this podcast. Maka, where can we catch your stuff? Why don't you let us know how we can interact with you and see all your fantastic content?
Yeah, no pressure, but if it's your thing and you want to either get Gamerscore or find some help for some games, primarily you can find me on YouTube at youtube.com/Maka91Productions. Sometimes I stream when I have free time at twitch.tv/Maka91Productions. Pretty active on Twitter. You can find it. I wish you luck in finding it. And I hate spelling out my Twitter. I don't know what it is. But if you're so inclined to type it out, it's at PMAKA1991. Also linked on all the other social medias. And every Monday night, we do a live podcast at TXR Podcast. You can just search that on YouTube. And everything's made available on the YouTube page right after. Or you can, find us on the podcasting services like iTunes and Pocket Casters and all those other ones that a lot of people use. If you want to download us, check us out. We're not going to be for everybody, but we might be for somebody.
I like it. I'm a listener. It's great. I appreciate your content, and it's a lot of fun. And I want to thank you again for being a part of our show real quick and taking some time out of your night. I know it's late where you're at, so we'll let you go. Have a great evening, Maka. Thanks. For being a part.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
This week's review, Zed, first one of 2017. We've had a little break. We're back at it now with Bridge Constructor Stunts. And I'm here, the usual crew with Damien.
Hello, everybody. So we have Bridge Constructor Stunts, which was published by Head Up Games, developer Clockstone Studio. It was released mid-December of 2016 with an Xbox Live store price of $9.99. So,
which I guess we can start off with the price. It seems pretty fair. There's a decent amount of content there. I mean, it's kind of like mobile game-ish in the way it looks and kind of plays, but I like it as kind of, you just play a couple, play like 15, 20 minutes here and there.
Yeah.
Or you can sit down and play the whole thing like I did. I mean, I didn't play the whole game, but all of my playing was in one sitting because I just kept playing. I'll just play one more level.
Yeah,
I'll just play one more.
So to preface it for everyone, so it's classified as a puzzle game, which in essence it is. It's kind of a you either have a pickup, a tow truck, or a dump truck, and you have to build ramps / complete the road to get from one side. You start on one side of the map, and then there's a finish line on the other side. And throughout many of the levels, you have to pick up either green stars you sometimes have to pick up stars or do like some in-level objective, do X amount of flips. And then there's also these hidden bolts, which are, I think the only thing I could figure out the bolts were used for was to get the achievement.
I think it's just for the achievement, yeah, or just getting 100% completion. I didn't ever hit a level that required you to have a bolt.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of like, make a path that's more difficult or do a jump that's more difficult to get this bonus thing was really I think the idea of the bolts.
Yeah. I don't think you have to get every bolt to get the achievement for collecting 25 bolts. I think there's more than 25.
Yeah, it seemed like there was pretty much one a level.
Yeah. However, the location of the bolt as you go further and further down is harder, so it's obviously easier to get up. And that was the thing.
And they definitely don't come naturally either, because I think in all levels I played, I maybe got 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After a while, you definitely had to go. And so that was one of the things I did like about this game. So in the idea that there's a lot of in-game physics. So I never received more than 3 types of building materials, but you start with being able to build wood ramps. You're then given later the ability to use steel reinforced ramps and then eventually suspension wires. So if you're in areas where there's not wood and steel you need to build from the ground down, and then suspension.
And you have to start from an anchor point. So there's a point where you start building, and then you can build onto either other anchor points or joints that you've made from the initial anchor point.
Yeah.
So you can't just build anywhere you want. I mean, you kind of can, but it's not going to stand up.
Yeah, and then that's the other nice thing. So it definitely was a lot of trial and error. So, well, it does snap to a little bit. Yeah, your construction, if you poorly engineer it, it will just fall apart. So,
yep. I had a couple that just, I forgot to anchor them, and they just, whole thing just collapsed.
Yeah, so.
Which is kind of hilarious.
Yeah, so the things that are good, because a lot of this game is doing a level over and over and over again until you get it right, I really like that. Again, I'll go back to Game Review 2016, Monochroma. It didn't have real bad load screens for when you just, restart.
No, it was really seamless. Yeah. Even switching between the construction mode and the playing mode. So the other thing is you actually drive the truck yourself. So it's not just you build this and then it just goes.
Yeah,
you build it and then you actually control it. So you have to kind of adjust your speed and the kind of angle you take. Also, it's 2D, but kind of how you land, you have to adjust so you don't just fall on your back and explode or whatever.
Yeah. And there's
it was a good combination.
Yeah. And I mean, there is achievements for destroying the truck, for destroying like lots of things. Get over, was it 1 million points or 100,000? I don't know. A whole lot of destruction points. Fairly easy to grind out if you just get a good run where you're like, oh yeah, I've got like 10,000 destruction points. I'll just keep reloading that and doing it again and again. Which, I mean, you could do that and get the achievements done quickly, but if you're going to go for 100% completion, you're going to do all of the other stuff naturally, trying to get the 25 bolts. So.
Yeah, and I think the 25 bolts was probably the worst of the achievements in terms of time. I think it was like, beat the game and get bolts. That's pretty much
it. Actually, there wasn't even to beat the game. It was accumulate 1 hour of air time. So you're going to be playing a lot of, going off the jumps to get an hour of time in the air, and destroy the pickup truck 250 times. So once you get, if you got all of the bolts and you got all of the 1 hour of air time, then the only thing you're probably going to be grinding at is just destroying the pickup truck, which, just requires you to have a level where,
Yeah, just where you can repeat it over and over.
Yeah. So
generally pretty fun game. Yeah, like you said, I think I'd almost call it like an action puzzle game.
Yeah.
Because it's like there's half puzzle and then there's half action. So yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed it. And at $10, I mean, it's kind of right on, I think.
Yeah, no, I think the graphics are decent. The control, I was a little miffed sometimes trying to remember that there's the undo button versus just the delete. So thought that I was pressing delete.
I didn't even know there was an undo button.
Yeah, you can undo the last thing you did versus just deleting something, which sometimes not thinking I would get them mixed up. So the next thing if I wanted to go back and delete something, I might have been undoing a jump from somewhere else in the level, which was kind of annoying at times. But again, that's just my own fault for mixing up the button scheme. But I mean, if that's the worst of my complaints, again.
Yeah, there's not much to complain. It took me a minute to figure out how to adjust the joints, but that was it. And I think it seems like a game that was built for touch, but it translates very nicely to the controller.
Yeah.
Like to the point that it's not at all an issue ever.
And it's good for all ages. My son looked at it. He liked the concept. He enjoyed watching, the trucks get destroyed and flipping.
Which if that's what you want to do, I mean, you can destroy the truck in all kinds of different ways.
Yeah. So I mean, again, $9.99. And what I liked about the levels, you could pick it up, do one level, walk away, or as you said, you could sit there and just do one more. You could keep at it. So again.
Yeah, I think I won more at about 5 more levels than I planned on playing, but
yeah,
that's okay.
Yeah, but again, that's what I think this did really well. It was a quick game to get into. You could play it for a few minutes, or you could play it for a little. It gets a little repetitive after a while. I think anything in these kind of price points do. But again, if you were just in a few levels, walked away, came back later, and you want to kind of keep upping the challenge, I think it does a good job of progressing.
It has a very nice difficulty curve too. Is the first level is pretty much the first world is pretty much a tutorial, and then then you start kind of getting on your own, and then they start, and by the end they're getting pretty tough, but not so hard that you just get stuck.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, and I mean, if you really want to kind of cheat it, there's videos out there on the web, so you can always go look. It reminds me of any of those types of Angry Birds, Amazing Ally, any of those types of you try to figure out the level, the best path to get your things, and that's it. There's no story to it, or if there was, I didn't pay attention. I don't think so.
No, I don't think there
was. At that price, you don't expect it. It's pure puzzle game. If you like, those kinds of solving, engineering stuff, and destroying a bunch of stuff, it's a solid way to do it.
Yep. With that, I think we kind of agree that's a would recommend.
Recommend it. I mean, at $9.99, yeah, you'll keep you entertained. It'll take a while. I think they say 8 to 10 hours for the completion. I'd agree with that. If you're going for 1,000 gamer score, it's going to take you about 8 to 10 hours to play. So good time spent for $10.
Yep. All right, and we will see you guys next week.
Have fun.
All right, before we get into the zombie news portion of the show, I forgot one thing. Nerve Bullet, actually, he sent me a message and mentioned that he indeed pulled a Fream. He pulled a Fream on Roblox in day 20. So, of course, pulling a Fream, if you're not familiar, is screwing up one of your daily achievement streaks. And in Roblox, of course, that's an obnoxious one. So good luck to getting that one back, Nerve. That is terribly not fun. As far as zombie news this week, well, I found this. So this is a Kotaku article, and there's a game out there called The Chinese Room. Okay, and it's a game developed by Ludum Dare 37. And what the goal of the game, essentially, you wake up as a zombified human. And all you see on the right side of your screen is essentially a Post-it note saying that you need to figure out what you need to do. The triad, this like Chinese group, find their headquarters. You got to learn about them. And so you're sitting at this dinner table with this woman across from you, and you essentially the goal of the game is to look totally human, right? So kind of think of the Manual Samuel, where you have to do everything as an input. And so, like you have to tell yourself to blink, you have to tell yourself to eat, you have to tell yourself to breathe, and all these things while having essentially an interview, a conversation with this woman across the way, and apparently it is brutally difficult. Just trying to how you move, how you change your voice, inflect, stuff like that. Like it sounds fantastic, and there's one comment here in the Kotaku article which I think is hilarious because the author says, at one point I realized I was supposed to be eating. I filled my stomach, and then the alarm went off, and in a panic, the interrogator said to me, "You look like you've had a stroke." So I pressed the button that made me poop my pants. I'm great at parties. There is a panic button on there. It says "Do not touch." I'm pretty sure that's the one that craps yourself. So, anyway, you can the Chinese Room you can find online. It's a PC only game, but if you're interested, give that thing a whirl. And I think that's gonna do it for the show. We pretty much wrap this thing up. Of course, a quick rundown of all of our contests. And I forgot to mention the winners were out from last month, so we haven't seen the winners for December. You should get out there and take a look. January is, of course, wrapping up. Redemption Denied and M. Surin. Those are the gamer tags to look for the gamer tag challenge. Coming up in February, we have another twosome, Mattism and Posty. So two much shorter this time around, but no overlap letters except for the S and the T. But there's a nice variety there. Certainly different from this month. So good luck on those. Disney Infinity is also wrapping up this month for January. Make sure you post in our forums if you want to get credit for those achievements. And we go into February with Love and Hearts, like I mentioned at the top of the show, with the achievement sponsor. Any game or achievement that has the word love or heart in them. So, and if you're at all confused, again, go to our forums, forum.z2z.com, and you can look those things up there. Random to-do list, wrap it up for the month. So, February 1st, new lists appear. And February's going to be a shorter month, so good luck getting all 20 of your achievements there. But get as many as you can before the end of the month. And M. Surin's 2017 contest, the 2017 gamer score in the month of January. You got to hit that in an achievement streak. Good luck on that. Make sure you post your first achievement. Tarek actually wrote a little script to kind of help him out, so should be much easier to look through. And like I said, I think last week, I look at my period summary to see if I'm even close. Those of you doing the GTASC this current week can, you have to earn 3,000 gamer score, so maybe you can get two birds with one stone. Of course, we got our boosting and co-op sessions in the chat rooms you should take a look at. Still doing the Titanfall every Thursday. Anyone's welcome to come into that. It's a huge group, lots of fun. We're doing Titanfall 1 on the 360, of course. We have a Diablo session on Monday nights. Of course, there's 4 of us, but if we pull in more people, I had to miss last week. I mean, I truncated mine. So we can have a nice rotating group. We're all working on hardcore characters to get them up to level 30. And then, I need to go back through and do single player stuff anyway and get different characters leveled up. So, I'd be happy to run other characters if anyone else is interested in Diablo 1. Tuesday nights, Destiny for me. Saturday, Destiny on the 360 with Terrigan, and of course we have the Destiny group. So if you just want to get on, I know looking for some Iron Banner help, just play some matches. That's the place to do it. Elite Dangerous is in there. We just started the Overwatch one, another looking for group for Overwatch. If you just want to get a group of players together who are part of the Z2Z community, that is a great place to do it. And Battleborn and WWE both have rooms as well. So, and if there's a game out there that you want to have a room, we just had, like I said, Overwatch just came up this last week or 2 weeks ago as a suggestion from the community. Just AV Gamer. He's like, hey, I play a lot of Overwatch. It sounds like a great game. A lot of discussion about it. It's immensely popular. So yeah, perfectly works out. And so there we go. It's a new boosting group. Or community group, and it's a sweet game. So, like I said earlier, GTASC well underway. We just wrapped up week 2, so hopefully you all survived, your teams and you individuals. And if you want us to track one of your teams, again, we're still compiling our lists. We've got individual community like subgroups. The teams can have their own Discord chat if you're interested. It's just a nice way to communicate. If you're spending all your days in the Z2Z chat, might as well, right? Other than that, I think that's about it for the show. So I want to thank everybody so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. It's been great recording it, even despite the immense amount of pain I've been in. It's just getting better. It'll slowly get better. If you could help us out, one of the best free ways to contribute to the show is to rate us on iTunes, whatever podcast application you guys have to listen to this. It would be fantastic. It'll help us get to more people. Of course, our website, z2z.com, ZEDTOZED. We'll have links. You can find Maka's information in there. Links to his YouTube channel. He is got some amazing guides if you're interested in achievement hunting, and he's just an all-around great dude. So take a look at that. As far as reaching us for the show, there are so many ways. Twitter, of course, at Z2Z, ZEDTOZED. We've got our email address, contact@z2z.com. Private messages through trueachievements.com. You could do even better is our forum, forum.z2z.com, or you can also do our Discord chat, discord.me/Z2Z. That's all just one word. Big thanks to all of the tools that make this show possible. Libsyn, Discord, Trello, Twitter, Discourse, Zencaster, Skype, and True Achievements. You guys are fantastic. And a quick shout out to all the games, media sites, and games media persons that help us drum up all the information. It is so appreciated, so thank you very much. And last but not least, of course, Microsoft for the Xbox console. So, on behalf of Randy, Proulx, and Maka, I've been Brandon, and to all of you achievement hunters and Gamerscore junkies out there, thank you so much for listening, and we'll catch you next episode.